Chapter 10:10. This time, Li Longji didn't need Zhang Xiaobao to give a more specific explanation. He said clearly, "I will let the Ministry of Rights take care of it. You guys should hurry up and make the film for me. Use it for publicity. It's convenient and direct. Then, I'll go back to sleep." Zhang Xiaobao threw down this sentence. Without waiting for Li Longji's permission, he fell back to sleep. Li Longji yawned. He was also sleepy. He took a sip of the tea on the small table and said softly, "Find a place to rest. These past few days have tired me out." Empress Wang also felt tired and got up. Qida and Zhu Zan were still energetic. Gao Lisher didn't show any signs of fatigue. Only Wu Huifei was reluctant to leave. She turned her head to look at the sleeping Zhang Xiaobao. She really wanted to go over and wake him up so that she could ask him about the doubts in her heart. Yes, it was doubts. Wu Huifei once had a wish to be empress, but it was later ruined by Wang Wan. Not only did she not do anything to Wang Wan after scheming against her several times, she also caused her own side to suffer great losses. If it wasn't for her status, she would probably have been dealt with by the two of them. No one would be willing to cause trouble again and again. It was with this thought that Wu Huifei came to watch the show. In the end, when she came in contact with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, she discovered something even more interesting. That was, even if she couldn't be an empress, she could be a powerful economic leader. She also had to be involved in politics. The two aspects of politics and economics actually had such interesting interactions. Moreover, a change in a small aspect could have a huge impact. When one saw through the surface and saw the essence, there was a special sense of achievement. Therefore, Wu Huifei always liked to listen to Zhang Xiaobao give ideas and analyze what he said. Politics and economics are truly mysterious and wonderful. Your Majesty, when you go back, you must find a few books written by Xiao Xiaobao for people who study economics. I want to study them properly. Wu Huifei said to Li Longji as she walked out of the room. Her eyes flickered as if she was yearning for something. Li Longji glanced at Wu Huifei in astonishment. After pondering for a moment, he said, "That's fine. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao's use of this Tao has already reached perfection. If he uses it for good, the people will be in good health. If he uses it for evil, the people will not be able to make a living. I hope that after you come into contact with them, you won't use harmful means to the people just to earn pocket money for yourself. Learn from Xiao Bao. His family has a lot of money, and he's also willing to invest in public welfare. It's not that he can't earn more money, but he's worried that the impact on the people will be too great, so he's been holding back." Li Longji had money, and he was also willing to spend it on the palace. However, he also knew that Empress Wang and Wu Huifei liked to earn money themselves. Empress Wang's method of earning money was to take the women in the harem to do embroidery in their spare time, and then take it out of the palace for Gao Lisher to auction. She didn't earn a lot, but it definitely wasn't a small amount. The auction price of embroidery in the palace wasn't low, but Empress Wang was more willing to play with the palace maids, such as playing badminton and shuttlecock. Now, she was also infatuated with soccer and wanted to form a women's soccer team. Wu Huifei's power in the palace wasn't as great as Empress Wang's. She cared more about her status, so she rarely got along well with the palace maids. She could only help to organize poetry and other gatherings behind the scenes, and let the merchants advertise for her to earn money. From the looks of it, she wanted to learn more skills. She might even want to invest. Li Longji was afraid that she would earn too much money and disregard whether her actions would cause losses to the people, so he told her in advance. Otherwise, if Xiao Bao found out about the problem, he would take strong measures. Wu Huifei nodded obediently. Your Majesty, rest assured. Your subject wife knows what Xiao Bao is doing. He has always kept his bottom line. He is doing this for Kong Long's remorse. It's good that Kong Long's remorse is known. Don't be like Zhang Shogui. Even though the news was cut off, he still rushed to Mount Huangshan without a care. Cuckoo is currently setting up a trap at Mount Huangshan, and her sniper camp is also following behind them, waiting for an opportunity to strike. If they really do as they are doing, We can only hope that the natives they meet in the future won't be smart. Otherwise, how many good men of our great Tang will lose their lives? While they were speaking, Li Longji's group had already returned to the sand table in the center. Sweeping his gaze over the sand table, Li Longji was extremely dissatisfied with Zhang Shogui. He had sent out quite a few scouts, and they had covered a considerable distance of 30 li. However, why didn't they clean up the traces left behind by the cannons? How dangerous was it to be targeted by the enemy's sniper team from afar? Once the sniper team received news of their main force, they would immediately use smoke signals to call the police and expose the enemy's position. At that time, it would be useless even if they killed everyone in the sniper camp. Your Majesty, who is the commander of the group following behind Zhang Shogui's group? His goal was very clear. He was not like a normal small team commander who would lose focus and panic when they were fighting alone. From the way they are leading the group, it feels like they know what's going on in the center of the sand table. Their sense of the big picture is too strong. Zuzan Chide also leaned over to take a look, looking at the sand table and the various orders given by the referee. He couldn't help but praise. Li Longji also wanted to know who that unhurried and confident commander who had been tailing Zhang Shogui's army this entire time was. He glanced at the referee. Someone from the referees immediately reported, "Your Majesty, the current commander leading the 30-man group is a fourth-generation cadet from Wang Wan's family. Similarly, there are also the commanders of the 12 other groups in Wang Yi's camp." No wonder. The fourth-generation cadets are all nurtured and competed against one another in the inner court. How could they be easy to avoid elimination? Oh, we understand now. Cuckoo was afraid that the enemy would be too close and wouldn't have time to make arrangements, so she sent out a group of elite commanders to delay the advance of the enemy's vanguard even if it meant sending them to their deaths. But in the end, man proposes but the heavens disposes. That day, when there was no wind, Wang Yi saw the enemy hot air balloon team, so he ignited the entire mountain fire ahead of time and brought down Zhang Shogui's air vanguard. Formidable, Wang Yi. Well done. When Li Longji heard this, he immediately understood the strength of the sniper battalion's commander. The sniper battalion was usually used for sniping and sneak attacks, and was considered a special force. In order to complete the strategic deployment, Cuckoo had reluctantly thrown them out. But elites were elites. If they were given the slightest chance, they would cause endless trouble. Once the enemy's air force was eliminated, Wang Yi would have completed his mission. Without the scouting team, he wouldn't be able to find anyone, so he would naturally hesitate, giving the Central Army more time to prepare. Your Majesty, how should we train them? Back then, this subject rejoiced. At this moment, Zuzan understood how important an outstanding commander was. Wang Yi of the sniper camp had used his actions to show everyone what it meant to disregard the orders of the emperor. In a situation where there was no communication, he could fight on his own and even form a faint pattern of cooperation with his allies. If Xiao Bao and Cuckoo had led the logistics team to Tibet back then, they probably wouldn't have needed Xiao Bao to follow the economic strategy closely. This kind of commander who was a chess piece but still had the big picture in mind was too rare. Li Longji wasn't sleepy anymore. Thinking about how Xiao Bao and Cuckoo were sleeping, he suggested, "Let's go and take a look at Wang Yi and the others." The group of people excitedly strolled to other places. "Everyone, follow me. Wait at a concave area in front of the cliff. Prepare the crossbows and shoot at the enemy's small group at any time." When Li Longji and the others arrived at the door of the person called Little Dong, they first heard the voice coming from inside. Usually, such a small group wouldn't be given a room. However, under special circumstances, if one person was in charge of delivering important information, he could be given a room to talk about how to avoid being chased and tracked. Little Dong was currently in such a situation. Li Longji was at the door, and when he heard this, he chuckled. Empress Wang also covered her mouth and laughed. She knew what the small group Little Dong was talking about was. It was Zhang Shogui's communication team. Each team only had a few people, and they specifically found a place to hide. For example, on a dense tree, in a patch of grass that was at least half a person's height, near a pond, in a concave area on a cliff, or beside a mountain cave. They didn't hide inside because the enemy would usually search inside. And Little Dong didn't say that they would attack the enemy's communication team, but a small group. He was acting as a native. As for why the natives were so smart and familiar with the enemy's formation and hiding spots, it meant that someone had been to Great Tang and had specially learned about it, or perhaps it was just a coincidence. This was what Little Dong had done. He had already removed the 2 communication relay points behind Zhang Shogui's vanguard. He had found one accurately, and this time, he was waiting for the enemy to ambush him. When the messenger saw Li Longji and the others, he didn't say anything. Instead, he nodded to Wei Wei, indicating that he knew that they were here. You can see very far. Have you discovered the enemy? Little Dong was very engrossed. Even though there was only a sand table in front of him and a few small models on it, he was lying on the back of the chair with his head lowered, afraid that the enemy would discover him. This was a habit. During their training, they would always be pulled into the wilderness and have each of them hold a map. Next to them would be 1 or 2 people with a radio behind them to evaluate the situation. If you were to hold the map and follow the route on it while advancing or dodging, you could easily be seen by the enemy nearby if you stood up. What was the point of playing then? The person with the radio behind them would just tell you that you have been discovered and eliminated. He was completely engrossed in the task, as if he was really dodging the enemy on the battlefield. To him, the sand table was no different from reality. In a real battle, if he had the chance, he had to personally observe the terrain. During the process of giving orders, he had to control the advantage and concealment of the attack spots in units. For example, if he had the time on a small mountain, he would first observe which spots were suitable for an ambush, such as whether there were dense grass or potholes, whether there were large trees nearby, how tall the trees were, and whether he could arrange snipers there. Then, when he returned to the command center, he would complete the map and arrange for people to go there. If a battle really broke out, he would immediately be able to determine which position had been lost and who was next to that position. This was what Wang Wan required of a commander. Even if you were only leading a small squad of 5 and I gave you a squad machine gun, after you had observed the terrain, even if your eyes suddenly went blind, you had to provide the necessary firepower at the crucial moment. After learning this, you could then continue to command more people until you learned strategic arrangements and deployment. Little Dong had been promoted step by step like this. He was already qualified to command a battalion, but because there were too many talents in the Inner Courtyard Military Academy, he could only command a small squad in this military test. Right now, because of Wang Yi, Little Dong could only command a small squad. Otherwise, in the Middle Army, he could command a large squad. The Middle Army's sniper battalion was the best, and a second-year student was the battalion commander. It was a fact that this battalion was elite. Everyone, hide well. I'll ask again. Have you discovered any members of the enemy squad? Little Dong asked again. His hands formed a circle in front of his eyes, representing the binoculars. The messenger took a pair of binoculars to Little Dong and said, "For now, we haven't found any traces of the enemy. We're still observing. Captain, do you want to hide a little?" The messenger was very dedicated at this time. On one hand, he was responsible for sending messages to and from the central sand table, but on the other hand, he had to play the role of the scout for Little Dong's squad. Li Longji was excited. This Little Dong was really too fun to play with. He snatched the binoculars of others and even insisted that they were things that could see very far. Yes, in theory, the radio natives shouldn't know how to use it, but if they snatched the binoculars, they could use them. With this thought in mind, Li Longji whispered to Empress Wang, "Zhang Shougui is in trouble this time." Based on Little Dong's command, the referee panel will judge that Little Dong led his team to easily break through the scouting net set up by Zhang Shougui's scouts. Then, with the binoculars in hand, the referee panel will have to show him the situation of Zhang Shougui's army within the range of the binoculars. At the crucial moment, he will think of a way to send the news to Cuckoo. What do you think Cuckoo will think? I think Cuckoo will be very sad. She knows that when she sees this news, a group of soldiers will be sacrificed. Just like what Cuckoo said to Xiao Bao when the Bureau of Military Personnel went over during the imperial examinations, a shooting star will shine. Empress Wang suddenly felt that soldiers were so respectable, that war was so heartless, that soldiers were so insignificant, yet they were like shooting stars that illuminated the night sky. Wu Huifei looked at little Dong lying on the ground, an indescribable feeling rising in her heart. Even though she knew that everything was fake, she was attracted by the devotion and perseverance of the commanders of the inner court Zhang Shogui and Wang family. She whispered to Li Longji, "Our great Tang needs to prepare more air forces and artillery shells. We can't let the good men of our great Tang die so easily." Just as Cuckoo said, for the sake of a single soldier's safety, we would rather throw down tens of thousands of artillery shells. Money can be earned back, steel can be mined and refined, and shrapnel can be picked up from the battlefield. Explosives don't matter, but when one of the men of our great Tang dies, this subject wife's heart will ache with it. In the past, whether it was Wu Huifei, Empress Wang, Li Longji, or even Zhu Zan, his wife, and Gao Lisher, none of them had ever been so close to a battle that wasn't actually a battle. They had seen many dead people, but this was the first time they had felt the spirit of the great Tang army assaulting them in the face on such a heroic sand table. This was because the commanders of the Wang Wan family were too engrossed in the battle, making it impossible to tell that it was fake. If I had known this would happen, I would have just surrendered in the past. There would have been no need for Cuckoo and Xiao Bao to bring people to kill each other, Zhu Zan lamented. Zhu Zan said with emotion. He felt that only the great Tang was worthy of having such a commander and army. As for whether he would have surrendered before the Tufan army lost their resistance, that was another story. Anyway, it was impossible for him to go back. He was not Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Reporting to the captain, "We have discovered the enemy. There are a total of 5 of them, and they are heading towards the ambush location of our team." The messenger was very professional. He listened to the emperor and the others, but he didn't get distracted. The moment the sand table in the center gave a judgment, he immediately reported to Xiaodong. "Lower your head and don't observe. Don't think about killing people. Think about the rake in front of you. We are just doing what we do during normal training. Pay attention to your breathing and relax." Lil Dong's order to the messenger was actually to give his team of 30 people. However, it was impossible to assign 30 people to each one of them. He was the smallest combat unit at the moment, so he could only let the referees decide through the order. The reason why he gave this order was because Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao had said that although many people had always denied the sixth sense, it would always be there at crucial moments. Anyone who had survived the battlefield understood the importance of a sixth sense. In the moment of life and death, one would find that time passed very slowly. One could even have a process of judgment, but because one's physical condition did not meet the requirements, one could not avoid it. Because in their era, the surveillance system was already very well developed. People discovered a problem. When a person fell from a building, no matter what their initial speed was, the normal 9.8 meters per second would cause their speed to reach nearly 20 meters per second after 2 seconds. However, the surveillance system had recorded many such situations. Some of the falling people's pupils would become lax, and some of them would suddenly shrink and reach out. In other words, when the falling people were so fast, they would feel that time was passing very slowly. They could see the protrusions around them and wanted to reach out to grab them. At close range, moving at a speed of more than 20 meters per second was impossible for normal people to distinguish, but sometimes, humans could do it. This was the sixth sense's time domain. Of course, some people also had this feeling when they were sleeping. It could be that time passed very quickly, or very slowly, or it could be when they were doing something. Most of the cases happened to animals. It could be explained by the vibrations underground that affected the magnetic field. Then, the animals reacted first, while the humans deteriorated. This was also the case on the battlefield, especially for snipers. They could even feel the instant when the other party aimed and pulled the trigger, and then make a judgment. The purpose of Little Dong's order was to prevent the enemy from sensing their hostility when they approached, so that they could take precautions in advance. At this moment, the messenger played the role of a soldier. "Understood. The enemy is within 10 meters of us," the messenger reported to Lil Dong after he ran back. "Kill." Lil Dong jumped up from the back of the chair and shouted. Annihilate all the enemies. The messenger hastily hugged Lil Dong, who had thrown himself into the battle, and said to him, "Oh, what's my team's losses?" "No losses." "Oh, collect the enemy's thing that can see very far. I have to think of a way to send it to Miss Cuckoo and young Master Xiao Bao. This thing is very useful. It's 5 times. Ah, it feels like it's 5 times closer. No, it's 1/5 of the same thing." Lil Dong was very happy. He chuckled and turned his head. Suddenly, he saw a few people standing at the door. He was stunned for a moment before he reacted. "Your Majesty, Empress, Concubine Hui, Princess, Lord Gao, Lord Qide, why are you all here?" Li Longji was stunned. "You know us." "When I went out to pick up Lord Qide a while ago, I was with the guards. Why are you all here? I wonder how young Master and Miss are doing." Lil Dong naturally spoke to Li Longji and the others. "They're asleep," Li Longji replied. "Oh." Lil Dong heard too much from these 2 words. The enemy's vanguard was still some distance away from the main force of the army, and Miss had already made arrangements. By the time they woke up, the battle between the 2 armies would probably begin. Then, shouldn't he speed up? Li Longji instantly understood that he had leaked the news. "Can you not be so smart? Zhang Shogui, look at what kind of people your opponents are." How could Zhang Shogui hear Li Longji's thoughts? He was still estimating the distance when he said to the messenger, "Inform the Central Army that my vanguard will arrive at Mount Huangshan in 3 days. Chapter 10-11. When Zhang Shogui said that they would arrive in 3 days, he didn't mean that all of the remaining 15,000 soldiers of the vanguard would be there. The supply troops couldn't travel that quickly. Instead, he was referring to another brigade that had been mentioned as the vanguard. Just like Yang Chong's brigade, they had 5,000 soldiers. They would first arrive at Mount Huangshan and set up defensive fortifications there. After passing down the order, Zhang Shogui began to wait for the reply from the Central Army so that they could work together. This wait lasted for 15 minutes. An hour had passed on the sand table, exactly 4 quarters. Zhang Shogui paced back and forth around the sand table. Sensing the passage of time, he suddenly stopped and asked, "You still haven't received any news?" "Reporting, we haven't received a reply from the Central Army," the messenger replied. "What happened to the vanguard brigade that was surrounded in Fuyang?" Zhang Shogui began to worry. He felt like something was wrong. "Reporting, we haven't received a reply from our vanguard brigade in Fuyang." The messenger said something that Zhang Shogui didn't want to hear. Zhang Shogui stood there and thought for a while. Then he ordered, "The person in charge of the radio station, send out a reply." This time, it was done very quickly. After the messenger left, he returned and reported, "I am a relay station of the radio stations." The most recent reply came from the 4th radio station, which is located 160 li from here. It started from the 5th radio station and was interrupted. Sweat began to seep out of Zhang Shogui's forehead. He definitely didn't think that the people of the 5th radio station had been eaten by wild beasts, nor did he think that the radio station was broken. This was because a 5th radio station was equipped with 2 radios. If one was broken, the other would send a message. The only explanation was that it had been destroyed by the enemy. That's right. They also use the radio station, so they naturally know where the relay station should be, so they found the location and destroyed it. This is too unfair. How could they do this? Zhang Shogui muttered to himself. He finally realized where the problem was. After complaining about the unfairness, he suddenly shivered. Not good. The enemy has troops behind our army. Scouts, investigate. Find the last position of the 5th radio station. Be careful not to be ambushed by the enemy. Zhang Shogui hurriedly ordered. Unable to stand any longer, he walked over to the chair and plopped his butt down. Leaning his head back, he raised his head and sighed. The generals in the room also realized how serious the consequences were. They stood there in a daze, guessing how the enemy had circled around to the back of their troops. Zhang Shogui lay down for a while, then clenched his teeth and sat up. Looking at the others in the room, he said, "Let's begin the meeting. Based on what you've said, Yang Chong's brigade can't be saved. He must have encountered many enemies, at least after being surrounded. What should we do next?" The other generals looked at each other. They also wanted to know what was going on, especially the troops that Yang Chong had encountered. It was just like what he had said when he had last sent back the news. They were even the main forces of the enemy. If it was the former, then where was the enemy's main force? If it was the latter, how could our vanguard lead the enemy's main force to Mount Huangshan? He believed that Wang Wan was not a fool and was not easy to fool. Everyone was silent for a while. Then a general said, "Lord Zhang, I guess that Yang Chong encountered the enemy's main force. If it was the enemy's main force, they wouldn't have sent their main force to first contact Yang Chong's brigade at Fuyang. They wouldn't have allowed Yang Chong to fight so smoothly and successfully switch between offense and defense. They wouldn't have given him the time to do so. But looking at his last call, he should have had the time to complete the defensive steps. What kind of smooth? We killed more than 2,000 of the enemy's people, and more than 2,000 of our own people died. We ran out of cannonballs, and we also ran out of provisions. That's how it went smoothly? Our army is already fighting so smoothly, so it's better to surrender early. Wasting time in the hibiscus garden is not as comfortable as returning home. We'll also delay the people coming to play." Zhang Shogui was disgusted by the behavior of not admitting defeat even though they had clearly lost. What he wanted was not to find countless excuses, but to muster up the courage to take responsibility. Because this kind of excuse was useless to the emperor. The emperor was not stupid. Why would he go to the grave and burn newspapers? Who was he trying to fool? Thus, his words were very impolite, causing the general who had spoken earlier to lower his head. Another person stood up. "Lord Zhang, I estimate that Yang Chong encountered the enemy's main force. Perhaps the enemy's main force has already arrived at Shaanxi County. Coincidentally, when our air force was destroyed by the enemy, they circled around from the south. And Fuyang is their main force, preparing to send supplies to the front line at Shaanxi at any time. In the end, they encountered Yang Chong's brigade. That regiment sent out the news, and the enemy mobilized their forces and surrounded Yang Chong." "That's right." Another person agreed. "The most important thing right now is how to send the news back to the Central Army. The Central Army has probably already landed and is advancing toward Yuezhou. A portion of them might have already reached Hangzhou. If the Central Army thinks that our vanguard has already explored the path ahead and is not on guard, it will be very easy for the enemy to catch us off guard. Pass down the order. Send out our reserve signal soldiers to move out and move toward Hangzhou. Every platoon will be assigned a scout team of 10 people to ensure their safety. In addition, don't hide like before. Contact the Central Army at all costs." Zhang Shogui felt that this was indeed the case, so he immediately passed down the order. Returning to his senses, he said to the people in the room, "Everyone take a guess. How many people are in the team behind our army? Which part of the enemy do they belong to? How much of an obstacle will they pose to our army?" After these 3 questions were asked, the crowd fell silent once more. Who knew who had killed the relay personnel, how many there were, and which part of the enemy they belonged to? In theory, there shouldn't be such a group of people. Of course, the generals were well aware that their own theories were one thing and their own practical theories were another. In theory, anything could happen. An excellent commander could come up with inconceivable tactics. So now that the referees had determined that the enemy was behind their army, the enemy would definitely have a way to get there. "Reporting, our vanguard brigade has arrived. They are asking why our Central Army sent out the relay station reply order and whether our army has encountered any problems." At this moment, a messenger entered and reported to the crowd, "Tell Cui Shi that behind our army, an unknown number of enemy troops have appeared. At least 4 of our relay stations have been destroyed. Starting from Station 5, we have lost contact. Tell him to be careful and expand the scouting range." After Zhang Shogui finished replying to the messenger, he harumphed and said, "I estimate that behind our army, there is at least one enemy battalion missing. Their commander is definitely not easy to deal with. Our central army must slow down and send at least 3 battalions to carpet search the rear. The prerequisite for our supply troops is to not give the enemy a chance." Supply troops? Supply troops? Wheel tracks. Oh. This general understands. They must have followed the wheel tracks of the supply troops to be able to follow so far behind us, exceeding the range of our scouts by 30 li. Zhang Shougui's analysis caused the eyes of the other generals to light up. One of them said, "Lord Zhang, since that's the case, why don't we send out a few battalions to search the rear? Our central army will station here and order the supply troops to continue forward, leaving behind wheel tracks. We can create a pocket and wait for the enemy battalion to come in and then surround and annihilate them." Zhang Shougui nodded in agreement. "That's right. Let's follow this plan." Compared to Zhang Shougui, the besieged Yang Chong was even more uncomfortable. It was not only the pressure from the sand table that made him uncomfortable, but also the fact that he could not rest in peace. Because, surrender. You've already been surrounded. If you continue to stubbornly resist, only death will await you. Surrender. You've already. Commander of the enemy, do you dare to come out and fight? Don't be a coward. Aren't you very formidable? Don't you have guns? Come out and fight. Commander of the enemy. Kill, kill, attack. Kill, kill, kill. The messenger was constantly shouting in Yang Chong's ear. His voice was not too loud, as if it was loud enough to disturb others, but it was still loud enough for Yang Chong and the people in the room to hear it clearly. Yang Chong had not rested for 14 hours now. He felt that the enemy was very shameless. They had already surrounded him, and if they wanted to fight, they would fight, but it was the enemy commander who ordered his subordinates to take turns shouting. They clearly knew that no one on either side would surrender, but they were still shouting such useless words. Their goal was to disrupt the morale of their own side and prevent their soldiers from resting. This won't do. They're probably covering their ears and sleeping. We don't dare to sleep. If we sleep, they'll attack us from behind. We want morale, but we don't have morale. If we sleep, we won't be able to personally command them. How can they do this? Kong Lu looked at the soldier who was stubbornly speaking and felt extremely indignant. The soldier also had a helpless expression. After shouting for a while, he would have to rest and be replaced by another soldier. He was also annoyed, but he had no choice but to do as the referees said. Li Gui squinted his eyes and tilted his head, his eyes soulless as he stared at the sand table. He also said, "They're playing for real with us. They're willing to do anything. Why don't we counterattack? The officers of the army who surround us are now sleeping with their ears plugged. They're playing a scheme with us, but they don't care. If they drag us down until we're out of energy, they'll have other soldiers charging up from behind. Since we can't rest well, we can't let them have a peaceful life. Let's organize our men and harass them a few times. I hate them." Yang Chong looked at his 2 commanders and shook his head. "If they shout again, we'll charge. They'll be prepared immediately. Should we shoot or not? If we use up the last of our bullets, can our bayonets win against the machetes and spears? How about this? We'll take turns to rest. If they're willing to stall for time, we'll wear them down. At the very least, we'll be able to hold them back, even if they outnumber us by more than 10 times." Yang Chong's words received the approval of the others. They gathered together and assigned who would sleep first. Just as they were done, a messenger came in, reporting, "The enemy has released smoke from the wind in the west. The smoke is floating towards us." What? That's too much. The referees won't judge that their actions are valid and want to smoke us in our houses, right? That'll kill people. I don't believe that the fire they lit earlier will also cause the people they command to burn in the forest fire. Yang Chong was shocked. His ears could not calm down. Did they want to light the smoke? No, Sir Yang, don't be nervous. We don't mean that. Even if you're willing to let people light the smoke, the referees won't do it. We're just informing you of the situation. Your lookout found out that the smoke is floating over from the wind. You can do as you see fit. The messenger smiled and explained to Yang Chong. Yang Chong was stunned. He slapped his forehead. Right, I almost forgot. My head hurts from their noise. They're used to using smoke. Then, their troops will attack in the smoke. Quick, get people to prepare wet cloths to cover our mouths and prepare for the enemy's attack at any time. After the messenger left, Yang Chong could not sleep again. The main reason was that he did not dare to sleep. He was afraid that the enemy would use the smoke as a cover to organize a large-scale attack. Kong Lu got up and wet a towel by the side of the basin. He wiped his face and said with a sigh, "They're also ruthless to their own people. Even if they use wet cloths to cover their mouths and noses in advance, they'll still feel uncomfortable in the smoke. If it's a little longer, they'll faint. They have no choice but to use smoke to attack. Once the smoke is released, both sides' vision will be affected. By releasing smoke, they'll make the battle environment of both sides the same. In this way, our advantage will be gone. In fact, we'll even be at a disadvantage in hand-to-hand combat." Yang Chong was very impressed with the enemy's commanders. They were actually able to think of such a method. As long as the terrain was suitable and the wind was suitable, they could use it. Once they used it, they would not be able to aim and could only shoot blindly into the smoke. If the enemy crawled forward, not only would it reduce the damage to their bodies from the smoke, they could also avoid the bullets. When the distance was close, it would become a hand-to-hand combat. How did they end up like this? It was too inconceivable. If they all did this, the advantage of firearms would be gone. Unless they had enough artillery shells, they could use them to block the enemy's charge. Thinking of this, Yang Chong became even more worried. He said to the others, "The enemy's strategy is very powerful. We have to think of a way to pass this information to our vanguard or middle troops. Tell them to be careful of the enemy's smoke hand-to-hand combat. When they're in formation, don't be too concentrated. It's best to split up a few parts. This way, when the enemy uses smoke to cover their attacks, they can have room to retreat. Otherwise, in a fight, it's easy to not only not gain an advantage, but also suffer a lot of losses." Everyone nodded. They admitted that Yang Chong's words made sense. In a situation where they were prepared in advance, it was very easy to break through the smoke attack. They were just afraid that their vanguard and middle troops would not think of this problem. In a crucial battle, they would be hit by an asymmetrical strategy and suffer heavy losses. "How can we pass this information out? I think our transit troops have been dealt with by the enemy," Kong Lu asked worriedly. "Since you asked, then this mission will be handed over to you. We'll cover you. You take people and rush in the direction of the first fire. With the rest of our people and ammunition, it's still very easy to break through, especially in that direction. As long as you go, all of our sacrifices will be worth it." Yang Chong looked at Kong Lu and said solemnly. Kong Lu took a deep breath. "Really fight? Then you guys? It's our turn to be heroes. Is she the only one in the limelight as Wang Wan's military academy commander?" Li Ji said loudly from the side. Chapter 10-12. While countless people were scheming against each other in the hibiscus garden, Xiaobei and his group became leisurely. First, they signed a contract with the jewelry makers and sellers, and asked them to make all kinds of handicrafts. Then, they got the girl's father out. The county magistrate of the Yamen was newly appointed, and his surname was also Yen. He personally sent the girl to Old Willow Village. On the way, he kept apologizing to the girl's father, hoping that he could put in a good word for him. "Brother Xinqing, no one did anything to you when you were in the servants' room, right?" Sitting in the carriage, County Magistrate Yen whispered to Qin Xan Cheng, who had not uttered a single word since they had left the carriage. Qin Xan glanced at him and still did not say anything. He was angry. "Before you figured out the situation, you asked me to explain when I was being sued. How could I explain it? Then, you put me in the servants' room?" His daughter was better than his son. His son could only be anxious and wanted to spend money to bribe people. But he did not think about it. Who in Hongnong County would dare to accept money? The more he wanted to bribe people, the more suspicious he would be. His daughter was good. She went directly to Xiaobei. She was very smart. Otherwise, how could she be so clear about right and wrong? Brother Xinqing, yes, I didn't make a good decision this time. But I didn't put you in prison, right? I just put you in prison. The case hasn't been decided yet, so I don't dare to make a decision. How can you blame me for everything? Your son was so busy, but he still gave me money. Who wouldn't think about it first? If they had a clear conscience, why would they give me money? I didn't take it, right? You have to admit it, right? County Magistrate Yen continued. He felt that he was wronged. He had just been in office for a few months, and he was already involved in this kind of thing. Who could he reason with? Why did he let Xiaobei and the rest meet him? There was no place to cry. Did he get caught? Innocent +5. Oh my God, damn liar. He tricked me. Qin Xin still did not say anything. He looked outside through the car window. No one knew what he was thinking. County Magistrate Yen took a deep breath and said as if he had accepted his fate, "Okay, you can complain to Xiaobei. I don't need you to say good words for me. At most, I will be exiled. I, Yen Fei, have been in Hongnong for 4 months and 6 days. What I have done is worthy of the heavens above, the earth below, and my conscience." Qin turned his head to look at County Magistrate Yen, who was Yen Fei, and finally spoke. "What do you want me to say in front of Xiaobei? Praise you? Praising you is harming you. You locked me up, and as soon as I came out, I immediately praised you from head to toe. Do you think that Xiaobei and the others are idiots? Do they believe me as soon as I praise you?" Ha! Yen Fei was stunned. He blinked and nodded. "Oh right. I caught you and brought you to Old Willow Village. You praised me. That's not normal, right? People will think that I'm threatening you. Based on that, you have to tell me the truth. What about me? I have to tell them the truth too. Yes, to tell them the truth, Xiaobei and the others are not stupid children. They will reason with me. I didn't do anything wrong. I just don't know how the gold disappeared. I put you in jail first. According to the procedures, I have to report to the government. Then what am I afraid of? But I'm afraid that the 9 of them have different identities. If I'm really caught, the economic construction projects that I thought of for Hongnong 4 months ago will not be carried out. What a pity." Yen Fei's voice became softer and softer. He seemed to be very disappointed. He thought about a lot of things. His appearance when he was studying, the situation when he took the imperial exam, the joy of passing the exam, the years when he worked in the Ministry of Revenue as a knife and brush, the accident when he had the opportunity to come to Hongnong as a county magistrate, the unfulfilled dream in the county, and the result after meeting Xiaobei and the others. Yen Fei thought about all these. After thinking about it, he became relaxed again. After hearing Yen Fei, Qin also thought about it. Seeing that Yen Fei did not speak and was leaning there with a calm expression, he felt that Yen Fei was not bad. He said, "Lord Yen, I just feel suffocated. I don't hate you. I feel that the opportunity has come for the matter you mentioned a while ago." "What matter?" Yen Fei almost did not know how to think. "You forgot. You found a rich businessman in the county and said that in the capital, you saw a rich family buying a wind turbine generator to light up the house. There was also that washing machine that looked very good. There was also a small thing by the river that was thrown into the water to spin and generate electricity. Then you asked us to pay for a bunch of generators and throw them into the river to generate electricity to light up the key places in Hongnong County at night, especially near Xiaobei's amusement park to set up a night market. When the time comes, people like us who pay for electricity do not have to spend money temporarily. You even said that we need electricity. There's a wire called electricity or something that can be used as a stove. The rich families in the capital use that thing to roast sausages and ham. You asked us to think of ways to think of a few more things that can make a lot of money and sell to people who come to play." Qin Qin helped Yan Fei recall. At the mention of this, Yan Fei temporarily put down the anxiety in his heart and nodded vigorously. Yes, that's called resistance wire. You can also use it when you process jewelry, but it's not easy to apply for it, especially small generators. There are very few of them. The people who use them in the capital need to be monitored. I've already sent a letter to the provincial government, but they haven't replied. It's probably very difficult. They need a lot of generators to support the light. The provincial government needs to check first and then report it to the capital. I don't know what the capital will decide. Yan Fei shook his head helplessly. It was not like applying for seeds for farming. In terms of technology, the Tang Empire was very strict and did not give foreign forces any chance. Do you still need to wait for the provincial government? When Xiao Bei and the others come, you can tell them that their amusement park doesn't need electricity. You can ask them to make more electricity, won't there be, even if we have to pay for it? I'll find a few people who agree with this matter and speak up for you. Don't think that Xiao Bei and the others are still children. Behind them are Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. What do you think, Lord Yen? Qin Qin gave an idea. That's right. Xiao Bei and the others are here. Why would I care about the provincial government? They are their hurdles. Do I have to go through them first? Yan Fei clapped happily. Just as he said half a sentence, he remembered that he did not know whether this trip was a blessing or a curse. He became depressed again. Qin Qin also reacted. Yan Fei might not be able to continue staying in Hong Nong. He smacked his lips and continued to give ideas. You see Xiao Bei and the others and immediately tell them your plan. Let them listen to you. When the time comes and there are some problems, it won't be a big crime, right? Xiao Bei and the others don't like to beat people to death with a stick. In the past, there was an official who could make steam engines. They investigated him, but the result was nothing. He was even transferred away. They care more about whether the official did things for personal gain. Fine, I'll give it a try. I'll go all out. Yan Fei encouraged himself. When the lanterns were lit, the usually active and extroverted Xiao Bei insisted on organizing a bonfire party today. She moved her mouth and the others began to get busy. They prepared the firewood for the fire. They did not allow her to touch it for fear of smashing it. They also did not allow her to clean up the poultry, pigs, and sheep for fear of being cut by a knife. She could only tell stories to the children in the village who were also there to join in the fun. Xiao Bei was holding a megaphone in his hand. He spoke vividly, beaming with exultation, and gesticulating to the surrounding children. This was also a kind of talent. If Xiao Hai were to do this job, he would not be able to do it even if he tired himself to death. If it were an ordinary child, it would be considered good if they could stand in front of a group of people and not fall to the ground nervously. But for Xiao Bei, this was not a problem. With the megaphone in her hand, she could easily control the 360-degree audience. Her gaze swept over and did not neglect anyone. Today, I'm telling the story of the animal kingdom. It said that there was a dragon who was the king, but he always liked to sleep. There was also a big tiger. When he roared, the whole mountain would tremble, so he was the prime minister. Today, he wanted to eat an egg. Everyone has eaten an egg before, right? Xiao Bei turned around naturally. She turned 180 degrees and turned back. She asked and turned 200 degrees in another direction. This way, she scanned the audience. Yes, children like to listen to stories the most. Their voices shouted out one after another. You've all eaten it? The tiger had also eaten it and felt that the taste was not bad. He wanted to savor it, but he could not directly ask the chicken for an egg. The chicken was also his people, so he looked for the fox and asked for an idea. He said that he wanted to eat an egg and fry it. As for the fox, he had wanted to eat it for a long time but never had the chance. When he heard the tiger's words, he secretly swallowed his saliva and promised the tiger that he would complete the task. He was smart and knew that he could not look for the chicken. Who did he look for? He found a domestic duck and said to it, "The Prime Minister has been dreaming of eating ducks recently." He said that ducks can cure diseases. When I heard that, I advised the Prime Minister not to eat ducks, right? The duck was so scared that it was paralyzed. It nodded vigorously and said yes. So the fox said, then make an egg and give it to the Prime Minister. Some eggs can't be hatched, right? Look, which one can't be hatched? Take 2 and I'll give them to the Prime Minister. When Xiao Bei said this, he was already standing in front of a child, as if the other party was a duck. The child was scared and said, didn't you say that you want to eat eggs? Why did you look for me? Yes, you said that you want to eat eggs, but the duck doesn't know. He thought about it, and in order to live, he reluctantly agreed. Just as he was thinking about which 2 eggs to give to the fox spoke again. Don't you always ask the chicken to help you when you hatch eggs? Remember not to take the goose egg. The goose egg is big and different from yours. It's too obvious. The duck nodded again and walked to the chicken coop. As he walked, he realized that he couldn't take the goose egg, but he could take the chicken egg. So he stole 2 eggs and gave them to the fox. The fox ate one and gave the tiger the other. Later, the chicken found out and found the eggshell in front of the fox's house. It sadly went to find the dragon. The dragon was very angry and asked the tiger to deal with it strictly. The tiger was even angrier. The fox actually ate one himself, so he asked the fox. The fox said, I tested the poison for you first, so you should do this. The tiger was very happy when he heard this, so he asked someone to catch the duck. In front of the chicken, the duck was punished for not being responsible for helping the chicken keep the eggs. The duck was sentenced to pay the chicken 2 eggs and clean the chicken coop for a month. Then, the fox supervised the duck. If the duck wanted to pay, so be it. Anyway, the chicken didn't eat the duck. It was better than eating the duck himself, so the duck confessed. The dragon went back to sleep and passed the country to his son in his dream. He was worried that something would happen to the animal kingdom one day, so he considered letting his son become a human and go to a human country to live. Anyway, he could just take food from his own country. If the animal kingdom disappeared one day, his son could still live well. Since then, the chicken lost eggs at least once a month. Every time the duck was punished. Every time the fox ate an egg, there would be a meeting to blame. Every time the tiger ate a fried egg, he would think that the country was so harmonious. Whether it was the supervision department, the executive department, or the production department, all kinds of functions were available. The research department found that if the chicken ate some eggshell, it was very good for the eggs it laid. So, as a welfare for the chicken, it let the chicken experience the warmth of the country. Do you think this country is good? Xiao Bei finished the story and asked the children around him. It's not good. The children were not stupid. They knew who was at a disadvantage. Lu Feifei said loudly, the dragon shouldn't be a king. He sits in that position and doesn't do anything serious. My Tang Empire is better. My Tang Empire has a good emperor, brother Xiao Bao, sister Cuckoo, and sister Xiao Bei. Who dares to harm the chicken, sister Xiao Bei will teach him a lesson. Then it's my Tang Empire. Xiao Bei nodded. Her eyes were fixed on Yan Fei, who had been listening to her story for a while. She said, who harmed the chicken? I think someone will come and tell me clearly, right? Yan Fei was listening to Xiao Bei's story and found it very ironic. He was thinking about praising Xiao Bei, but he didn't expect that Xiao Bei would directly point the finger at him. When they were in the car, the method that he discussed with Qin Xian was suddenly useless. I'm innocent. Since I took office, I haven't done anything wrong. When I arrested Qin Xian, I'm still reporting to the state government. He hasn't been convicted. When Yan Fei was in the car, he was thinking of going all out. But now he found that he couldn't. Xiao Bei waved her hand and didn't let Yan Fei continue to explain. She said, I asked you who harmed the chicken. What do you mean by you are innocent? I didn't do it. Yan Fei was about to cry. I'm asking you who it is. Xiao Bei emphasized. Ah, who is it? It's the dragon? No, I don't know about the dragon. Is it the tiger? The tiger only wanted to eat once. And the tiger eats meat. Is it the fox? The fox is following orders. Is it the duck? The duck was also forced. Is it the chicken? The chicken is the victim. Who is it? Yan Fei was confused by Xiao Bei. You're so stupid. This animal kingdom shouldn't be so harmonious. How can animals of different species live in harmony? But animals of the same species shouldn't exist in the animal kingdom. Every person in a position should guard their position well. You've done a good job. At least for more than 4 months, you haven't done anything wrong. Just as you said just now. Also, make your water and electricity plan more detailed. Let me remind you, you can produce bigger generators. I was just joking with you. Why are you so nervous? Remember, never be like the animals in the animal kingdom. Otherwise, you will realize that dragons don't have sleeping sons. Tigers don't have that much power. Whoever harmed the chicken, I can catch him in an instant. Xiao Bei said to Yan Fei with a smile. Yes, yes. No one dares to harm the chicken. Then, what do I do now? Yan Fei's forehead was covered in sweat. He finally felt that Xiao Bei was different from other children. Now, wash your hands and prepare for the bonfire party. I'll roast that harmed chicken for you. Let's go, it's time to eat. Xiao Bei said to Yan Fei. She called the children and ran to the washing area. A group of children cheered and ran behind. Lord Yan, wipe yourself. Qin came over and handed Yan Fei a towel. Thank you. I won't see Xiao Bei in the future. No matter what, I won't meet her face to face. Yan Fei took the towel and wiped his sweat. Yan Fei said that he wouldn't meet Xiao Bei, but Xiao Bei didn't intend to let him hide. The bonfire party started. Xiao Bei dragged Xiao Yuan and Lu Fei Fei. She held a wine glass with juice in her hand and wandered around the bonfire. When she saw someone idle, she would go over and say a few words. After a while, she turned to Yan Fei. Yan Fei was still chatting with Qin, talking about how to fill in the details of the application. He also praised other people's children as a sign of goodwill. As expected, he was holding a chicken in his hand. He didn't dare to touch other food. Xiao Bei said to let him eat chicken. Naturally, he had to understand Xiao Bei's meaning when he ate the chicken. Brother Xinqing, do you think Xiao Bei let me eat chicken as a warning, or is there any other hint? Yan Fei smelled the aroma of the roasted lamb and turned to Qin, who was eating the leg of lamb. I guess she asked you to control the other people in the county yamen. Xiao Bei doesn't want to hear about the chicken being eaten. It's not that she doesn't want to know about the chicken being eaten. It's just that she doesn't want to see the situation of the chicken being eaten. Qin saw that his daughter and Xiao Bei were very harmonious together. The last bit of anger in his heart dissipated because he knew that with Xiao Bei's approval, the other villagers in the village would not be jealous of his wealth in the future. The patrol team of 9 was the purest group in the Tang Empire. Their attitude towards a certain person determined the perception of the people in the Tang Empire. Therefore, Qin also seemed to be more friendly to Yan Fei. Yan Fei felt that it made sense. It should be so. I have to watch the people below carefully. Don't cause me trouble. The amusement park is built in the county. How can Xiao Bei not pay attention to it? If anyone in the yamen wants to die, I'll let him die first. I don't think anything can be hidden from Xiao Bei. Did you hear just now? Xiao Bei said that I did a good job for more than 4 months and asked me to apply for a bigger generator. This means that she has already understood and didn't hold me responsible. I escaped a disaster. That's right. The intelligence network of the Zhang family and Wang family. Is it just for show? You want to eat a piece of mutton? Qin saw that Yan Fei was still competing with the chicken. He cut a piece of mutton and passed it to him. I don't dare. Xiao Bei asked me to eat the chicken that was killed. If I eat something else, if she sees it, I'll be even more guilty. I haven't had enough of being a county magistrate. I won't eat. Yan Fei's eyes swept over the newly delivered food. Dried tofu rolled with bamboo shoots, cucumbers, coriander, roasted until golden brown. There was a layer of garlic sauce on top. He thought about how refreshing it would be in his mouth, but he still didn't dare to move. Lord Yen, if you want to be an official like this, you should leave the position of county magistrate as soon as possible. Xiao Bei's voice suddenly sounded behind Yen Fei. Yen Fei was so scared that he trembled. The chicken in his hand almost fell to the ground. He quickly turned around. As he was about to get up, he said, "This official is guilty. Sit down. If you stand up, I have to look up to speak. It's tiring to my neck. You're too rigid. As a governor, you have to be flexible. But you have to set your heart first. If I were you, I would pack a few more chickens and let people keep them. When you return to the yamen tomorrow, you can take them away. Just say that you don't dare to enjoy the delicious food alone. Let the people in the yamen know not to harm the chickens. This way you can eat more food. You can also return to the yamen and have a good relationship with the people below. You have to be flexible. If not, my brother will speed up the development of the Tang Empire. You won't be able to keep up. You're still in a daze. Put down the chicken and go find your favorite food to eat. You're so stupid. If you continue to be so stupid, I won't talk to you anymore. Is it easy for you to see me once? You still don't know how to grasp the opportunity and let me come find you personally." Xiao Bei stretched out her empty hand and pressed on Yen Fei's shoulder, not letting him get up. She unhappily said a bunch of things. She then muttered to Xiao Yuan, "My family's inner court is like him. I've long been angered to death. How do I put it? It's like smelling something and knowing something. I'm about to be angered to death by you. Smelling means listening." Xiao Yuan was also unhappy. "I know. Stand aside and don't block me. Lord Yen, do you understand?" Xiao Bei rolled her eyes at Xiao Yuan and then smiled at Yen Fei. Yen Fei did not dare to get up. He could only turn his head and agree. I understand. Bring a few chickens back. I'll eat something else." "It seems that you still don't understand. I'm talking about chickens? Forget it, I'll continue to spin. You eat your food." Xiao Bei turned and was about to leave in disappointment. Qin Xin nudged Yen Fei hard. Yen Fei suddenly reacted and hurriedly shouted to Xiao Bei, I understand. I have to be flexible. Patrol Inspector Zhang, what instructions do you have?" "That's more like it. Find a bowl and drink. Let's discuss while drinking. Lord Yen, I'll introduce you to a 7th rank official. Secondary 7th rank official. My sister Fei Fei is her." Xiao Bei turned back and pulled Lu Fei Fei to introduce her to Yen Fei. Yen Fei did not stand up at this time. Instead, he sat on the ground. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Lu Fei Fei. No matter how he looked at her, she looked like a child. "Don't move around. Sit properly. My sister Fei Fei is Station Supervisor Lu. She's under the jurisdiction of the capital's agriculture temple. She's in charge of everything related to willow trees. It's not because her surname is Lu that she's called Station Supervisor Lu. Her surname is also Station Supervisor Lu. She's in charge of willow trees. Of course, if you don't call her in detail and just call her by her position, then she's a station supervisor. Her surname is Lu, so she's called Station Supervisor Lu. If her surname is Yang, she's called Station Supervisor Yang. Sister Fei Fei, this is our county's Yen Fei, Lord Yen. Let's get to know each other." Xiao Bei introduced Lu Fei Fei as if she was saying a tongue twister. Lu Fei Fei hurriedly saluted. "Greetings, County Magistrate Yen." Yen Fei reflexively saluted. "Greetings, Station Supervisor Lu." After returning the salute, Yen Fei did not care about honorifics anymore. He directly asked Xiao Bei, she's still a child. How did she become a 7th rank official? She's also a station supervisor with real power. I asked for it. I asked Uncle Emperor for it. Sister Fei Fei has her own ideas. I thought it was good, but I was worried that the county would not support it. So I asked for an official position for Sister Feifei. Can't I? Xiao Bei had a natural look on his face. Yes. Yan Fei said with certainty. It's too good. Although he said that, Yan Fei had mixed feelings in his heart. He had worked so hard to learn, but now he was only a 6th-rank official. She was just a child, but because Xiao Bei wanted it, she became a 7th-rank official. Yan Fei wanted to scold the heavens for being unfair, but he did not have the courage to do so. This was because he knew how he became the county magistrate of Hongnong. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had checked the official's register, and then conducted an interview. You said that the heavens were unfair. His position was confirmed by Zhang Xiaobao. You still remember what he said at that time? It's a pity that this person is a knife and pen in the Ministry of Revenue. Give him a chance to go to Hongnong. He really thought that it was not good. He should resign now. If he thought it was good, how could Lu Feifei's official position not be approved by Zhang Xiaobao? Didn't he care about his sister? Approved meant approved. Was it fair or unfair? Lu Feifei and Yan Fei knew each other now. The main reason was that Yan Fei had to remember Lu Feifei. He knew that in his territory, there was an official who could not be touched. She was not under his control. In the future, if there was an emergency, he might have to ask Lu Feifei for help. It should be easy to get more seeds. She was directly under the Sinong temple and had a lot of power. Xiao Bei asked someone to bring wine to Yan Fei. It's late. You can't go back. Drink. Yan Fei relaxed and drank the wine. Fortunately, it was rice wine. If it was white wine, he would have fallen. Let's talk about business. Lord Yan, I asked Uncle Emperor for the tax exemption policy of the amusement park. In the future, the amusement park will not pay tax. Xiao Bei said to Yan Fei. The first thing that Yan Fei thought of was that the amusement park should be deducted from the revenue of Hongnong County. He said, well, you have already taken out a lot of money. It should be exempted. Truth. Don't think that we are taking advantage of Hongnong. I will not pay tax. I will take out half of the net profit and invest it in Hongnong's children. When this money is spent, no matter what you buy, there will be tax. I will buy it locally and your county will make up for it. Xiao Bei added. He even told them about the situation that would occur when the currency was circulated. Yan Fei was stunned. There was such a good thing? Half of the profit was definitely not small. It was more advantageous than directly collecting tax. The tax collected directly had to be paid to the capital and deposited in the bank first. In this way, it would drive the consumption of local goods. The tax would also be generated, but it would drive the local development more. What did Xiao Bei want? More tax than profit? Then you can still make money. Of course, we can make more. We came up with the idea together. If we don't make money, we will just pay. Not only will we make money, but we will also make more money than before. In addition to our benefits, you will also benefit from this place. Xiao Bei had a look of, I am helping you. In that case, this official thanks you. Can you tell me in detail how you can make more money and how I can benefit from it? I will cooperate. Yan Fei did not think of the problem and asked curiously. Xiao Bei smiled proudly. It's simple. I can let a lot of people who sell things join my amusement park. They will be exempted from tax with me. Don't you think there are benefits? No. Yan Fei shook his head like a rattledrum. I think the county is losing a lot. You misunderstood. I haven't finished yet. Xiao Yuan, tell Lord Yan about our plan. Xiao Bei pretended to be profound and moved aside, pulling Xiao Yuan to the front. Chapter 1013. It's me again. I used to be a very introverted person. Little Bei, you can't do this. Your actions have already affected my personality. Do you understand? Little Yuan didn't like to show his face. It wasn't just him. The others weren't interested either. Only Little Bay stood in front, forming a team of 1 spokesperson and 8 think tanks. What they liked to do the most was to listen to their brother and sister's lectures, then follow them and continue to listen to their discussions. At first, it was because of attachment. Then, they thought it was normal. Later, they finally understood that the things their brother and sister talked about were not things that ordinary people could understand. It was a kind of profoundness that ordinary people could not fathom. Now, it was peaceful again. What they said was national policy. I gave you a chance to perform, but you didn't know how to grasp it. Tell me, why are we doing this? Little Bay said with a smile. Little Yuan agreed helplessly. Okay, I owed you in my previous life. Lord Yen, where were we? I said that you want to get a lot of people to your amusement park so that they will be exempt from taxes. Yen Fei was like a resentful woman. If you really do that, will I, Hong Nong, still have any taxes? I finally know what you are planning. You know? Impressive. Lord Yen, tell me. If you say it well, you can enter the government and become a high-ranking official. Little Bay joined in on the fun. Yen Fei didn't dare to glare, but he still felt wronged. He said, you want to charge them a joining fee and then let them not pay taxes. That way you will definitely make money. Just now, you were saying that it was harmful. You did it first. I object, even if I am no longer an official. At this moment, Yen Fei mustered up his courage. For Hong Nong's revenue, for his own ideals, even if he had to file a lawsuit in front of Zhang Xiaobao, he was fearless. Little Bay was about to speak again, but was stopped by Little Yuan. Little Yuan stared at Yen Fei for a full 10 seconds and nodded gently. To be honest, from your attitude, you are a good official. But from your intelligence, you are still lacking. Think carefully about what you don't know and listen patiently. No one forced you to do it. Your reaction was too intense. No wonder you locked Qin Xin up. You didn't consider the problem comprehensively. Yen Fei opened his mouth but did not say anything in the end. He looked at Xiao Yuan and waited for him to continue. Xiao Yuan, however, took a vegetable roll made of dried tofu and bit off one. He slowly savored it until he finished it. Only then did he say, Sir Yen, do you know how much a vegetable roll with 3 dried tofu costs? Probably. Estimate? Hong Nong can produce this product by itself. The cost of materials, transportation, production, and processing costs are included. During the process, labor costs are also accounted for, including additional added value. I can tell you how much this thing costs at Hong Nong's barbecue stall. 1 copper coin for 2 skewers. If you sell 6 skewers, you can make a profit of 1 copper coin. That's a 33% profit after deducting taxes. If you don't believe me, you can ask around. Don't take the price of the big restaurants into account. Those are 2 different things. Xiao Yuan opened his mouth and stated the price of the food he ate. Yes. Is it related to what you're talking about? Yen Fei panicked. They were talking about the specific data, but he did not answer. If it was a small matter, it was careless. If it was a big matter, it was a dereliction of duty. Xiao Yuan ate another one. Of course. When you're free, go to the market, especially the big markets. Ask each item. When the 9 of us are free, what we're most willing to do is to go to the market, bargain, and buy it. It's not that we lack things. We also eat the barbecue and soup pancakes sold outside. If we can't finish them, or if they don't taste good, we'll take them back and let people throw them to feed the pigs. It's not that we can't find anything to eat. In our house, there are restaurants everywhere. How can we not eat good things? We just want to understand the people's livelihood. Now, I'll tell you how the profits of dried tofu rolls affect the people. When Yen Fei heard that he was going to talk about something important, he sat up straight. Very naturally, he took out a small book and a fountain pen, intending to record it. Xiao Yuan was shocked. Wow, you're quite prepared. A fountain pen? Your sister gave it to me before I took office. She said, I'm giving you a pen. I hope you remember it. Incorruptibility covers the sky, benevolence paints the earth. Where are the people, where are their hearts? The temptations of the mortal world cannot be stirred up. Yan Fei gently stroked the fountain pen. After saying this, he whispered to Xiao Yuan, "Your brother also said that when I'm the county magistrate, I have to be clean. If the yamen and my family lack daily necessities, the local business will give them to me. Don't worry about others taking it by force. When I'm done, give me a large sum of money when I leave office. The better the people in the county, the higher the degree of education, and the more prosperous the economy, the more money I'll get." "Oh, I understand. So you're not greedy." Xiao Yuan approved of his brother's method. Sanshui County had always been like this. When an official was in office, they focused on doing things. Daily necessities would be provided. When they were done and were about to leave, they would receive a gift from a local fund specially used to reward officials. Yes, I don't dare to cross the line drawn by your brother and sister. I'm an official they chose. If there's a problem, they won't be able to let it go. They'll punish me to death. Yan Fei's answer was very simple. Okay, let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about dry tofu rolls. Xiao Yuan brought the topic back. Yan Fei picked up the pen with a proper attitude. I've already talked about the composition of the cost just now. In the process of making bean rolls, materials and logistics are very important. Of course, the process is also one aspect. As for the improvement of the process, let's not talk about it for now. Let's just talk about materials and logistics. As Xiao Yuan spoke, his speed was not fast. After finishing a sentence, he deliberately paused and did not make a sound. Yan Fei scribbled on the notebook. After he finished writing, he stopped to think. After thinking about it, he nodded. Suddenly, he reacted and said, "Xiao Yuan, are you waiting for me?" "Waiting. My brother and sister will always stop when they tell us stories and give us time to think. I'm used to it." Xiao Yuan did not think that he was doing very well. Everything he did was imitating his brother and sister. Next, let's talk about the materials. The main component of bean rolls is dry tofu. The things inside the rolls can be changed. If the outside is changed, it won't be a bean roll anymore. When small workshops are making, everyone is fighting for themselves. A lot of wastage is caused, which causes the cost to rise and the quality to be inconsistent. After a set of processes, a lot of manpower is wasted. Do you admit it? Yes. Yan Fei wrote again. After he finished, he replied, "Dry tofu is made from soybeans. If it's bought in small batches, the price is high. If it's bought in large batches, it's cheaper. When it's made in batches, the fixed loss is reduced. The things produced have to be transported away, which involves logistics. You might say that if it's all made in your own small workshop, there's no need for logistics. Or if the transportation distance is very close, the logistics distance is so short that it doesn't matter." Xiao Yuan said as he recalled. The idea was not thought of by him alone. It was the wisdom of 9 people. When the 9 people discussed, they argued and supplemented. When they encountered a difficult problem, they stopped and thought about what their brother and sister would do when they encountered such a problem. Only then did they come to a final conclusion. Yan Fei also knew this point. After all, the 9 children usually followed powerful people. The children of butchers naturally knew how to cut meat. The children of officials also understood problems differently from ordinary people. There was no need to doubt the Zhong family and the Wang family. The 9 children, other than learning from their brother and sister, were influenced greatly even if they were usually with the maids in the inner courtyard. This is the importance of the environment. Yan Fei thought in his heart and said, "That's right. Every village has a tofu workshop. Why transport it from the county? This has to calculate the cost of the two and the cost of logistics. For example, the tofu workshop in the county is big enough. It's so big that the price of buying soybeans in batches is 4/5 of the price of an ordinary family's unit, saving 20% of the cost. By concentrating on the work, the fixed consumption is saved by 10%. The overall saving is 30%. Using a few carts, one village after another, but according to the regional distribution, the cost of delivering is 10% of the cost of making the tofu products. If the small workshop's profit can't reach 20%, why not let the county deliver it? For example, the usual cost can be reduced by 5%. Why tire yourself? The time saved can be used to sleep more so that the body won't be so tired. Communicate more with the children so that the children won't feel left out. Let the children teach more words and learn from the children's textbooks to improve their own skills. Isn't that right? When Xiao Yuan gave an example, he listed out the general data comparison and waited for Yan Fei to think again. Yan Fei quickly noted it down. This time, he didn't have much time to think about it. He said, however, it looks like a total of 5% of the cost savings. In fact, according to what you said, that's a 25% increase in profit after the small workshop doesn't produce by itself. And there's more free time. No matter how the time saved is used, it's far more cost-effective than wasting it on the production process. At the same time, it also increases employment opportunities, such as logistics and carriage drivers, or the number of people who need to work in the large workshops. Xiao Yuan, Xiao Bei, let me ask you. Do you usually learn this? You're still children. Yan Fei was indeed shocked. What little Yuan said was something that children should come into contact with. He could keep up with the train of thought because he had the convenience of being an official in the capital and had learned it before. Today he realized that what he learned, the children also learned. It was really hard on a group of children. Xiao Yuan smiled. We usually learn by ourselves. Each of us has different classes. Brother said that when we were young, he was tired. When we grow up, he won't be tired. In the future, he won't have to worry about the family not being able to handle urgent matters when he and his sister are too busy. That's right, that's right. Xiao Bei chimed in from the side. What we're talking about now, there's no need to deliberately learn it. Anyone in the family will have a different view of it. After listening to it every day and watching it every day, of course they'll remember it. All right. When I was young, I didn't have brothers and sisters like you, and I didn't have an inner court team that could take over government and military affairs at any time. But I have a question. Yan Fei envied Xiao Bei and the rest. This was the advantage of a family. Children from ordinary families also had talents, but the effort they put in far exceeded that of children from aristocratic families. How could a child from a butcher's family be compared to Xiao Bei and the rest at the age of 20? How much of a genius did one have to be? Fortunately, there was the support of Operation Chaoyong. Otherwise, it would be a fool's dream to catch up. Sighing to himself, Yan Fei asked again, I agree. If we do as you say, the cost of the small workshop will be reduced, the profits will be increased, and the labor intensity will be reduced. However, what if the large workshop in the county uses this to control the entire county's bean products industry? That's a problem with the perfection of the business laws and the functions of the government. You can't use the possible disadvantages to deny the benefits of the current actions. If it's easy to choke when drinking water, then you won't drink water? If you're thirsty, you naturally need to drink water. As for choking, then solve the choking problem. This isn't called treating a headache or treating a foot when it hurts. This is called the division of functions. Ants have a division of labor, not to mention humans. How can there be a perfect thing in the world? If that's the case, then my brothers and sisters won't have to suffer. Xiao Yuan also had his own views on this. Yan Fei was used to discussing political and economic issues with children. All right, I agree. To build a large bean products processing workshop in the county, I have to first calculate the profit ratio of the small handicraft workshop and the price ratio when buying the finished products from the large workshop. I already know that bean rolls have a lot to do with the people's livelihood. I also understand the principle of drawing inferences from one example. Tell me about the issue of tax exemption. To be honest, you're not Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Although you're so smart that I'm scared, you're far worse than your brothers and sisters. At the same age, they're 100 times better than you. If you can't persuade me, I'll never agree. I'm an official of the imperial court, not the inner courtyard of your Zhong family and Wang family. My first consideration will always be the people under my rule. Listening to Yan Fei's words, Xiao Yuan and Xiao Bei were not angry at all. They admitted that their brothers and sisters were powerful. Until now, they had not found a problem that their brothers and sisters couldn't solve. Xiao Yuan, continue. Xiao Bei threw a sentence to Xiao Yuan and pulled Lu Feifei to explain the things that Lu Feifei didn't understand in the conversation between Xiao Yuan and Yan Fei. Lu Feifei was very modest. For the first time, she knew how big the gap between her and a real official was. She thought that an official had nothing to do and had free time all day. She didn't expect that an official had a universe in his heart. Of course, this referred to a capable official. Xiao Yuan said, "We want to build a big industrial group park near the amusement park. Then we'll buy things from them and sell them in the amusement park, tax-free. Lord Yen, you may want to say that it will have an impact on the financial income of Hong Nong. Indeed, it will, but it will definitely not be a negative impact. You also said that we're smart. How can we do stupid things? Who will join us tax-free? It's true that life in the county is not easy. For example, people who are hardworking and not smart. What they need is not how many good opportunities you create for them, but a leader who can actually lead them to work." "Oh. You want them to be tax-free? What's the purpose?" Yan Fei knew that there was a group of people who didn't have a high income. "The purpose is to let them make money. We not only exempt them from taxes, but also all their management fees. In this way, their income will increase, their life will be better, and there will be less trouble in the county. You're still thinking about how we can make money, right? It's simple. They are exempt from taxes and all other fees. The cost of things they buy is also low. There is a big workshop nearby. You have to limit the big workshop to sell goods to the outside. If the quantity does not reach a certain scale, it can't be cheap. In this way, those who come to Hong Nong for fun, those who wait for the bus to transfer, and those who seek low-priced special products will concentrate on the places we provide in the tax-free area, where things are cheap. Then we increase the number of manpower transportation, increase the number of local customers, increase the income of the accommodation shops, and also increase the number of goods sold by merchants who are not in the tax-free area but sell goods that are not available in the tax-free area." Xiao Yuan gestured with his hands and said generously, "Then how do you increase your income? You use your own money to subsidize again?" Yan Fei listened and kept nodding. He had turned 2 pages of the book. If he didn't know that the 9 children would not take the idea of their brother and sister as their own, he would think that it was the strategy of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It played a very big role in promoting the development of the place. The 9 children were still like before, willing to contribute to the development of the place, and not just thinking about money. Xiao Yuan really didn't know that Yan Fei had such a high evaluation of him. He glanced at Xiao Bei, and seeing Xiao Bei nod he said, "Lord Yan, don't spread it. Just keep it to yourself." Of course. "Oh, I definitely won't spread it. I'll rot it in my stomach." Yan Fei was most curious about this. "Thank you. It's like this. We don't charge more from others. We are an amusement park. Every ride is charged because it requires motivation. We will have ideas on the rides. For example, you are a businessman coming over, or you are waiting for a train. Your train will only arrive tomorrow. Do you want to find a place nearby to rest? Yes, I have to find one. That's easy. No matter where you find it, that place will give you a ticket. Take this ticket and come to the amusement park. You can play one or a few rides for free. Take this ticket and you can go to the shopping area. Buy anything. You can get a 20% discount within a certain amount. Take this ticket and you can get a souvenir from the stall selling souvenirs in the amusement park. Then you have to pay for the items in the amusement park. The number of times you have played it on the ticket indicates the unit price and how much money you need to spend. After you calculate, you will realize that the unit price of the rides you play is actually half the cost of the accommodation. If you include the free boxed lunch provided in the amusement park upstream, you will get an even bigger advantage. Then will you come to the amusement park? Will you go shopping? After you come, if you find out. I got it. Yan Fei stood up in surprise and carefully looked at Xiao Yuan and Xiao Bei. He kept looking at them. After looking at them a few times, he finally exhaled. He said, "You are earning this money." People's consumption is the psychological law of equalization in the process of accidentally obtaining money. That is to say, if you pick up 100 copper coins, many people will be willing to find a place to spend this 100 copper coins. Only a small number of people will want to keep it. In other words, if you give him a ticket worth 50 copper coins, he will be willing to spend another 50 copper coins to play the free rides. Even if it reaches a ratio of 10%, your income will increase a lot. Then, you are exempt from taxes. You can even use the same method on the local stalls that are exempt from taxes and have all the fees removed. Similarly, if you meet people who are just here to play and buy cheap tickets, you can give them some of the restaurants, inns, and coupons in the market. In this way, you are exempt from taxes. You don't have to calculate the tax ratio in the process of dividing the profits with other merchants, but your income will increase a lot. Because you also don't have to pay taxes on this part, the cost is very low. On the other hand, if you are not exempt from taxes, the inns and restaurants will promote you and give you free tickets. Your tax cost will be very high, and there will be an additional cost of double taxation in the process of exchanging customers. Amazing, I am convinced. No wonder you have to give half of the net profits to the children. You are earning too much. As expected of Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother and sister. After being praised by Yan Fei, Xiao Yuan was too embarrassed to say anything. He lowered his head and nudged Xiao Bei with his foot. Xiao Bei also became bashful and said in a similarly embarrassed manner, "Actually, it's true that we're spending money to invest in Tang Dynasty's children, and it's also true that it's free of charge. But, in any case, that's how it is. You shouldn't blame us, right? There is no rule that says that we can't make money from it if it is free. What we are earning is not the children's money. Can you understand?" "What do you mean I understand? Are you saying that when you give half of the net profits to the children, you are still profiting from it?" As Yan Fei spoke, he didn't know how to describe his feelings. Chapter 10:14. You're really a family. I won't ask how you earned the money. I believe what you said must be true. I want to know who came up with this idea. For the first time, Yan Fei looked at Xiao Bei and the other 9 people seriously. In the past, Yan Fei was afraid of their status and brothers and sisters. But now, he was treating the other party like an adult, because the other party had the qualifications. Xiao Bei smiled and said, "Even if you ask, we won't tell you. We thought about this idea for many days before we came up with it and perfected it. Sister told brother to open a few more candy houses, but we don't want to continue to rely on brother and sister. We want to plan it ourselves. From then on, when we have time, we get together and think hard about how to get other matching things for the candy house. Just the candy house is fine. But that's not in line with the style of our Zhang family and Wang family." Uncle Emperor praised brother, saying that he doesn't come up with a plan easily, but if he does, he will definitely be successful. "We can't ruin brother's reputation, right?" As Xiao Bei spoke, Yan Fei kept nodding. Looking at Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan's serious and persistent appearance, he wished he could carry the 2 children over and kiss them on the left and right. They were really cute and sensible. They also knew how to do things in their family. It was very difficult to achieve such a level. "Well, you continue to eat. Remember what we just discussed. When you go back, you have to implement it. After the tax exemption, you will find that the county's financial income is higher than before. At the same time, the people's trust in the government office is higher. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to find someone else. There are still a few places I haven't visited. You eat mutton, don't eat chicken. Choose some things and pack them up. Tomorrow, you can bring them back to the government office as a gift." Xiao Bei finished speaking to Yan Fei and waved his hand. He pulled Lu Feifei and Xiao Yuan and ran to another place. Yan Fei was stunned and did not move for a long time. He was also frightened. Qin Xin, who recovered faster, reminded him. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Brother Xinqing, the days in the county will get better and better in the future. You have to help me, Yan Fei said to Qin Xin. Qin Xin agreed and said, Indeed, Xiaobei's amusement park will be built in Hongnong. Also, with their business in Old Willow Village, as well as their cooperation with my family, they will value Hongnong a lot. With them valuing Hongnong, it won't be hard to live a bad life. Lord Yen, you have to stick to your bottom line. When you're done and ready to leave your post, they'll give you more compensation than you can get on your own. Of course. Even if you gave me 100 guts, I wouldn't dare. Come, drink. As Yan Fei spoke, he picked up the bowl and finished it in one gulp. He was in an exceptionally good mood today. Not only had he not been punished, he had a development goal. Qin Xin followed suit and emptied the mutton leg as well. He took a bite and slowly refused. His eyes stared blankly at the flickering flames. Just like Qin Xin, there were others who were also lost in thought. However, they weren't looking at the flame but at the sand table. Reporting, our brigade has suffered heavy losses. We couldn't stop the enemy's crazy breakthrough. During the hand-to-hand battle, our brigade's 2nd Regiment was completely wiped out. We lost our line of defense. The messenger's voice rang out. Only then did Tan Hu come back to his senses. He ordered, order the 2nd line of defense, no, the 3rd line of defense. Strengthen the defense. No matter the cost, push the enemy back. Send our brigade's personal guards to the 3rd line of defense. Waiting for the messenger to leave, Tan Hu's gaze became straight again. He seemed to be muttering to himself, but also speaking to the others in the room. Why did they suddenly become so strong? The hand-to-hand battle should have been our army's problem, but they fell in batches. What did they do? The other generals were also looking at the sand table. They were also puzzled. One of them asked, could it be that they used new weapons? After saying that, he didn't wait for the others to answer. He denied it himself. Impossible. This point is not within the scope of the military selection. We can only fight and wait for the support of the nearby logistical forces. No matter what, we have to keep this brigade. Otherwise, once they break through, they will get more supplies. With artillery, they will be a greater threat to our main forces. I request permission to take the remaining brigade members and personally stop them. Reporting, our 2nd line of defense has been broken through by the enemy. The enemy is continuing to advance and will soon come into contact with the 3rd line of defense. The 3rd line of defense's long-range troops are attacking. Another messenger came in and reported to Tan Hu. The expressions of Tan Hu and the others became more and more serious. Order the soldiers at the 1st line of defense to report quickly. Why did the enemy's attacks become so fierce? Wrong. Order the soldiers at the 2nd line of defense to report that the 1st line of defense has been completely wiped out. Tan Hu was stunned by the enemy's breakthrough. For a moment, he forgot about the tragedy at the 1st line of defense and that his brigade was down by a regiment. Reporting, the 2nd line of defense has sent people to check on the survivors. Reporting, our 3rd line of defense has been broken through. Our allies from the surrounding areas are chasing after them. Reporting, our pursuers have encountered stubborn resistance from the enemy. A small portion of the enemy has left the battlefield and is continuing the pursuit. The messenger reported again and again. Every time, Tan Hu's breathing quickened. The generals in the room also frowned. After a while, Tan Hu said, we underestimated the enemy this time. It's not that the enemy isn't strong enough. They just thought that they were strong at the beginning, so they were tricked. Now, they've set their mentality and are treating us as strong enemies, but we're still immersed in our previous victory. I reckon that 2 of our brigade's regiments have been wiped out, and the rest won't be able to stop the enemy. After all, our opponents are generals who have studied under the little lady for a while. Although they haven't studied for as long as us, some of the generals are from the families of generals. The person who spoke earlier spoke again. Yes, the Great Tang. It's the Great Tang after all. The advanced weapons of the Great Tang aren't just for show. If they really adjust, they'll really make us feel the pressure. Don't think about it. Try your best to chase after them and gather the remaining people. My logistics brigade still has to continue fighting. It'll be difficult for me to enter the inner yard this time. That's good. It shows that the Great Tang's overall strength is high. If they really can't break through, I'll be sad. Tan, who also adjusted his mentality. He hadn't entered the inner yard yet. Most of the logistics brigade was like this. The commanders of the inner yard were the main force, and the logistics brigade was an opportunity for selection. While Tan, who felt sorry for himself, he felt happy for the Great Tang. It was very contradictory. However, he didn't know that he really couldn't enter the inner yard. Because of his words, Li Longji personally interceded for him and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to let him enter the inner yard. Li Longji had been looking at the sand table. The battle was intense, and another attack and defense battle appeared before his eyes. When he heard the messenger repeat what Tan Hu said in the room, he smiled proudly. He said to Empress Wang beside him, "The people of the Great Tang always think of the Great Tang." Even though this person called Tan Hu clearly knows that he has no hope of entering the inner yard, he still feels proud of the Great Tang. I have to talk to Xiao Bao and Cuckoo to let this person in. How loyal must he be to say such words? Your Majesty is right. With them around, the Great Tang has no worries. Look at that Yong Chong. He'll probably be here soon. His last 3,000 or so people will be finished. Less than 300 people will be able to escape, and they still have to pass through the mountain fire. If they're not careful, they'll encounter a situation where the ashes come back, and they'll lose more people. Yang Chong is really wronged. If he had fought like this from the start and showed his determination to cut off all means of retreat, would he have lost a brigade? This can be considered as him being loyal to the country. Empress Wang evaluated as she looked at the sand table. At the same time, she recalled the battle just now. The sand table showed that the battle just now had started before dawn. Yang Chong gathered all his forces and attacked toward the north, not caring about how many people would die. Yang Chong, who was in the room, seemed to be immersed in the battle. He kept roaring, "Attack, attack! Raise your bayonets and fight the last battle for the Great Tang." Then, he ordered that all the rifle bullets were to be given to the final breakout team led by Kong Lu. Because it was common, it could be used on the few submachine guns and machine guns in the brigade. The people in charge of the front line only raised their bayonets and used their lives to pave a path. When the enemy was stubborn, as long as they found that most of the people charging at the front were dead, regardless of whether there were still people alive, the second row of soldiers behind would throw a few grenades and blasting canisters forward, blowing up their own people as well. That was why the breakout speed was so fast. They didn't give the enemy any chance to resist. They exchanged lives for lives, only chasing after time. Li Ji also brought people to fight with the enemy and was in charge of blocking the enemy's pursuit. In the end, Yang Chong killed them all. He personally rushed up to fight with the enemy and then shouted as he threw a grenade at me. He was the first to die. Kong Lu brought his 500 men to break out of the encirclement. There were 200 spearmen, and the rest were pistols, submachine guns, and machine guns. The bullets from the submachine guns and machine guns poured out like rain. Then, the spearmen were in charge of hand-to-hand combat. At this time, the advantage was finally revealed. Whether it was swords or spears, they all fell when facing the spearmen. Charge! Our brothers used their lives to pave the path for us. Charge out! Those who run out of bullets, stay behind. I will burn incense and kowtow to you during festivals. You are the soul of the Great Tang army. Because the messenger's report was very close to the truth, Kong Lu was particularly engrossed in it. For a moment, he forgot that it was fake. He really thought that so many of his brothers had died. He took out a gun from the holster on his waist and waved it around as he shouted with all his might. He shouted until his voice was hoarse and his face was covered in tears. Everyone in the surrounding houses could hear him clearly. He still hadn't recovered from this state. Report, our army has broken through the layers of the enemy's blockade and successfully entered the burning area. There are 79 people left. The messenger reported again, shouting the same way. Got it. Those who are injured, stay behind. The rest, continue forward. Don't stop. If I die, every soldier who rushes out alive, send a message to our vanguard. Run, run. Our great Tang will avenge us. Our great Tang still has Cuckoo. Cuckoo will. That's right, this is the sand table. Martial selection. Cuckoo is our opponent. No one died, right? Yang Chong and Li Ji are still alive. My throat hurts. Go and get me some medicine. This is bad. Others will laugh at me. Why didn't you remind me? Who designed the sand table model? I hate them. I wanted to eat spicy hot pot for dinner. Now, I can continue to drink clear soup. Li Ji came back to his senses as he spoke. He raised his hand to wipe his tears and blew his nose. He spoke with grievance. The messenger also felt wronged. When you pulled out the pistol, I already said it. You didn't listen. Who is to blame? I didn't say it was your fault. Go and get the medicine. Kong Lu waved his hand embarrassedly at the messenger and chased him out. He looked at the sand table again. As he looked, he smiled. So, it's safe for me to bring my men? The speed of chasing and running is not much different. If we split up a little, it will be enough for them to get busy. Come, pass down my order. The rest of you, form groups of 2 and look for the main vanguard. Return to the team. Kong Lu gave another order. He then pinched the skin on his throat and stretched it. He grimaced. It hurts so much. It's burning. It's all gone. A brigade of 5,000 people, and only these few are left. I wonder how low my rank will fall. Maybe I'll be chased back home to be a farmer. Then I'll go to school to be a teacher for the children. I'll teach them how to read and write. I'll also teach them military affairs. I'll tell the children that when they grow up to be generals, they should never underestimate any native. Asterisk. When Kong Lu's voice stopped, Yang Chong and Li Ji also arrived at the center of the sand table. Although they could leave directly, they didn't want to. Yang Chong was the first to die. He went to the door of Li Ji's room and waited for him to come out. He knew that Li Ji couldn't have survived. Li Ji also saw the brigade commander. He was originally very focused, but when he saw Yang Chong, he couldn't help but laugh. He gave another order. He clapped his hands and looked at the messenger. The messenger immediately told him that he had died. He then walked out of the door and followed Yang Chong to the center. Do you think the emperor is asleep? I think Shi Chunjing is secretly laughing. We finally came to accompany him. This battle was a mess. I don't know if he will lose his position. You, the brigade commander, and I, the regiment commander, are both not qualified. Li Ji, who gave up the idea of fighting, was much more relaxed. As for the future, he didn't care about it. He smiled and said to Yang Chong. Yang Chong smacked his lips and patted his forehead with his hand. He said, Wang Wan's people are really powerful. I can't help but admire them. My brigade is probably completely wiped out. I just don't know if Kong Lu ran out with his people. Let's go, we'll see them when we get to the center of the sand table. If he ran out, our responsibility will be less. If he waited for us there, I think the emperor will treat us to an unforgettable meal. It's almost time for dinner. Actually, I want to eat seafood. I also want to eat the seafood of the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant. But if I lose my position, I won't be able to find a place to eat for free once a month. When I see the emperor later, I'll ask for seafood. The kind that is dry and made. Li Ji laughed at himself and walked into the center with Yang Chong. He looked up. Sure enough, the emperor was also waiting for dinner and hadn't rested yet. Li Longji's seat was very high. He had deliberately made it so that it would look good. The chair was the one that was moved from Xingqing Palace yesterday. It was the one that he always sat on. It was very big. Usually, when Xiaobei and the others ate or chatted with him at Xingqing Palace, they would always squeeze together with him. Li Longji hadn't seen Xiaobei and the other 9 children for a few days. He missed them, so he asked someone to bring chairs. At the same time, he decided that if Xiaobei and the others found out that the Yamen officials in Jiangzhou were biased, they would be severely punished. Without a group of children, the entire Xingqing Palace became cold and cheerless. It was not fun at all. Otherwise, why would they want to stay in the hibiscus garden? It was still a little cold in early spring. It was not as comfortable as the palace. Li Longji was thinking about how Xiaobei and the other children looked when they were playing happily. He happened to see Yang Chong and Li Ji come in. He looked down at them and asked flatly, "You two have worked hard." Yang Chong and Li Ji didn't dare to answer. They stood obediently at the door like children who had made a mistake. They lowered their heads. "What did you do earlier? Didn't the assault team organize very well? The moment you were surrounded, you directly led the team to the north. How could the crippled regiment in the north stop you? Other than the regiment headquarters and a few personal guards, they didn't have anyone else. They insisted on setting up camp and being surrounded, didn't they? The other side's logistics team almost wiped out all of you. Even I feel embarrassed for you." Li Longji continued to scold the two of them. Yang Chong and Li Ji kept their heads down, but they were cursing in their hearts. Who knew what the situation was at that time? We didn't see the sand table in the center, and the hot air balloon team fell first. Who dared to say that he could tell? As if he could guess what the two were thinking, Li Longji said, "Don't find excuses for yourself. Back then, under what circumstances did Cuckoo and Xiao Bao enter Tubo? How did Cuckoo fight? She dared to run in circles on the mountain with an enemy force that was several times her size. She ran and fought while organizing her team. Why else do you think I value her so much? There were many people who could win a battle, but how many people could achieve the same effect as Cuckoo in the past? Steady, steady, you just want to be steady because your weapons are more advanced and your communication speed is faster. If it was Cuckoo leading the great Tang army and using advanced weapons to attack you natives, you would have been finished long ago. Cuckoo can beat you until you cry. Do you believe it?" Yang Chong and Li Ji were very unwilling to admit it, but they had no choice. This was because many of the tactics they learned were taught by Wang Wan. For example, this breakout was a choice in the most helpless situation that Wang Wan had said at that time. It was the last method to protect an important person or pass on important information. Gathering all the superior firepower, ignoring the casualties on their side, and staining the road forward with blood, the prerequisite was that all the soldiers had to be loyal enough. Now that they didn't see Kong Lu, they probably succeeded. It was really useful. All the handguns and repeating rifles were gathered together, and the sudden attack was too fast. It was really easy to destroy. Speak. If you don't speak, I will really revoke your positions. Seeing that this is the last time you made a choice, I will spare you this time. At that time, someone even told me that I could find an opportunity to capture both the Zhang family and the Wang family. Do you see the situation today? Capture? What is the equipment of the Seedling Protection Team? Each person is equipped with 2 handguns, 1 submachine gun, and 8 grenades. If not, how can I rest assured when I send Xiao Bei and the rest out? Today, Li Longji listened to the referee's evaluation of various data, and he truly felt the strength of the elite firearms unit. Thank you, Your Majesty. Yang Chong and Li Ji finally spoke, and said the same 4 words in unison. Thank you to everyone for your support and votes. Someone even gave me 10,000 renminbi as a tip for a monthly vote. I will try my best to write and try my best to write. I'll say it again. Don't give me money like that. In the past, there were people who gave me money like that. They gave 10,000, 10,000, 50,000, 50,000, and even 1,888,000 was not a small amount. 588 was even more. But you can't do this. I am not worthy of it. I am already satisfied to be able to subscribe and read it. If you praise me in the book review, I will be happy for the whole day. Thank you, brothers and sisters. But when it's time to save, I will save. Since you gave me money, I will not return it. When I spend money, I will also be happy. Sometimes, I feel conflicted. I want to get more royalties, but I don't want others to pay too much. I admit that I am a hypocrite. Those who have a recommendation vote, don't forget to vote for me. Praise me again. Thank you. I will bow to everyone. Yes, bow. You want me to beg? Brothers and sisters, you know that I will not do that. I am a stubborn author. I always feel that writers should at least have some strength of character. Bow, bow. Chapter 10-15. Go. Li Longji waved his sleeves. He knew that Yang Chong and Li Guei didn't want to stay in front of him any longer. As expected, Yang Chong and Li Guei hurriedly ran to the sand table and took a closer look. So the main force is in Huangshan. They arrived early. It's over. Zhang Shouguei still foolishly came forward. He shouldn't have sent out all the hot air balloons back then. Yang Chong looked at the sand table and understood everything. Wang Wan's main force wasn't in Yuezhou as he had expected. Instead, they had run to Huangshan to look at the model on the sand table. They were in the midst of civil engineering. Li Guei paid attention to a very small model. Kong Lu has run out. Hurry up. Tell the vanguard that the enemy's smoke is asymmetrical. What unit is this? Central Sniper Battalion? How did they get there? No wonder the radio station couldn't send any news. They were all shot down. It's the unit that shot down your hot air balloons. The 1st Battalion has more than 700 people. From top to bottom, there are 14 commanders. They are all from the inner yard. The earliest commander is Wang Yi, a second-year student. The rest are fourth-year students. Every fourth-year student can lead a battalion. This unit is only in charge of a small unit. There is a detailed summary of the battle on the table. Go take a look. Shi Chun's voice came from beside Li Guei. Li Guei had a deep impression of Shi Chun. He was captured alive, mocked his own people, and gave out a lot of information that was both true and false. Hearing his words, Li Guei said with an ugly expression, "Then I have to congratulate you for entering the inner yard. Why didn't the sniper battalion burn you to death? Is it because they are from the inner yard? Invulnerable to fire and water? Thank you. Congratulations to you too. While you were covering the rear, your commands were pretty good. They were much stronger than you when it came to attacking. Just look at the information and you'll know what the sniper camp has done. You'll also be able to understand how elite their personnel are. I admire Wang Yi, as expected of a second-year student. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do as well as him. I would probably have died long ago, not to mention being able to lead troops. After splitting up, they continued to pose a great threat to the enemy's army. Shi Chun didn't care about the other party's unfriendly tone. He smiled and pointed to a paper beside him, indicating that it was the file of the sniper battalion. Li Ji clearly knew that the other party was not wrong, but he still felt uncomfortable in his heart. It was obvious that the other party was stepping on him to get to the top. The benefits of the inner courtyard of the Zhang family and the Wang family were extraordinarily good, and he could learn even more skills. Just by going out and carrying all kinds of thoughtful supplies in their bags, countless people who also had families were envious of them, not to mention the care their families received. Li Gong snorted angrily and looked at the paper. It was very thick, about 30 sheets. Sweeping his gaze elsewhere, he noticed that there were countless sheets of paper in the central area. There was also a group of people calculating, a group of people discussing, a group of people comparing the rules, a group of people walking in and out, and a group of people writing with their heads lowered. What are these? Li Ji asked Shi Chun instead of taking the information from the sniper camp. It is a record of the changes in the battlefield. This is the first and largest sand table simulation of the Great Tang, and it is also the most time-consuming one. Every detail of the battlefield must be recorded, including the marching route and the commander's judgment. When the time comes, it will be easy to review and use as teaching material. At the same time, it will also test the commanding ability of the commanders. Our great Tang will need to make adjustments internally. For example, you are not suitable for fighting in a siege. You are suitable for covering the rear and defending. It is a waste of talent to assign you to the offensive formation, and it is also a mistake on the part of the decision-maker. Let me evaluate you. Your performance is very good in the later stages. When you were commanding the rear, you were able to accurately command every single troop. When our great Tang really goes to war, you and I will be in charge of defense because I can't attack. At that time, we will fight side by side for the protection of our hearts and for the dignity of the great Tang. As Shi Chun spoke, he stretched out his right hand. Li Ji hesitated for a moment before stretching out his right hand to shake Shi Chun's. All right, you will be in charge of the calculations, and I will be in charge of the preparation. Everything, for the dignity of the great Tang. After the martial arts examination, you have to treat me to a drink. Otherwise, I will feel uncomfortable. I will also give you a gift to congratulate you on entering the inner courtyard. Your family must have spent a lot of money on this martial arts examination, right? Li Ji made his choice in a very short period of time. He was magnanimous mainly because he heard Shi Chun's words and felt that if he continued to fuss over such trivial matters, he would be too petty. The interests of the great Tang were above all else. The smile on Shi Chun's face became even brighter. Of course. Please, let's go to the savant's pavilion. Xiaobei promised me before that once I entered the inner courtyard, she would let me eat the good things she left behind. It's a pity that she wasn't around when I was fighting. Xiaobei knows you too? Li Ji asked enviously. Xiaobei knows many people. When they have nothing to do, they will often wander around the inner and outer courtyards. When they see people who are idle, they will go over to talk to them. We like them very much, and we try our best to tell them what we know. The goal is to nurture them to be more powerful. We are very afraid that the masters we follow in the future will be stupid and will cause our own deaths. I look forward to them growing up and protecting them. When speaking of Xiaobei and the others, a gratified and caring expression appeared on Shi Chun's face. Then, he said, my family spent a lot of money this time. Wait for me, I will ask. Shi Chun threw down these words and ran out to find someone to ask. Li Ji's gaze followed Shi Chun's back as he said to Yang Chong, perhaps one doesn't have to become an official to bring glory to one's ancestors. It is enough to be part of the inner courtyards of the Zhong clan and Wang clan. I have always felt that the inner courtyards of the Zhong clan and Wang clan are another set of personnel that can replace the civil and military officials of the Great Tang at any time. They can go out and establish a new country at any time, but they still stay in the Great Tang. What is their purpose? Sure. Yang Chong immediately became nervous. He placed his index finger in front of his mouth and shushed him. Don't shush, it's not like you are peeing on a child. We will tell you why. Li Longji's voice suddenly sounded behind Li Ji, giving Li Ji a fright. The reason why Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's inner courtyards are nurtured this way is so that they can be prepared to kill at any time. If a problem appears in the military and political system of a certain province, they can go over and kill them all. Then, they can immediately replace them with the inner courtyards to ensure that the local government operates normally. If any regional governor thinks that without him, there will be a gap in the military and administration of our great Tang, Cuckoo and Xiao Bao will let him know that it doesn't matter whether he is there or not. No matter how capable the local officials are or how much power they have, they must always remember that they are not allowed to challenge the royal court. We will pass down the order in the capital that they are not allowed to play any tricks and use the stability of a region to threaten us. Otherwise, we will send Xiao Bei and the others out first. If the local officials dare to resist, Cuckoo and Xiao Bao will bring people over to kill them. After killing 1,000 people from the military and political system, we will send another 1,000 people over. Li Longji spoke in a dictatorial manner. He wasn't afraid that his words would spread out and cause the local officials to be displeased. Yang Chong and Li Gong swallowed their saliva and nodded their heads. Li Gong was the first to reply. Yes, yes, Your Majesty. Your will is our code of conduct. Wherever your sword points to, we will fight to the death. We definitely won't dare to go against the orders of the royal court. Yang Chong added, Yes, we understand. The royal court isn't afraid of us becoming arrogant. As generals, we also don't dare to raise bandits. We will always remember that there are people who can replace us at any time. Li Longji, who had achieved his goal, nodded his head to Wei Wei. We have always believed in you. Actually, Cuckoo and Xiao Bao's inner courtyards aren't used to replace the officials of Great Tang. Instead, when they are expanding their territory, they won't lack administrative and military personnel. I know how much money you have spent. Shi Chun ran over. Your Majesty, you are here too? I have always been here. How much money did your family spend? Li Longji glared at Shi Chun. His meaning was, I was far away just now. Can you pretend you didn't see me? Yes, I have always been here. I was careless. According to Your Majesty's estimation, based on a month's time, we have spent a total of 600,000 strings of string of cash. If we can't finish it in a month, we will have to invest more. Shi Chun drew a 6 with his hand. So much. Li Longji didn't expect the military examination to cost 600,000 strings of cash. When he said that the royal court would pay for it, it was Xiao Bao and Cuckoo who took the initiative to bear the cost. 600,000 strings of cash was indeed a lot. Although it didn't matter to the Zhang family and Wang family, it was calculated based on their wealth. In reality, 600,000 strings of cash could do a lot of things. A dough of millet was only worth 9 copper coins in the capital. If one were to look at it from a higher perspective, it would be 10 copper coins for a dough. 600,000 strings of cash was equivalent to 60 million dough. Li Longji also understood that money couldn't always be calculated as grain. There were also luxury goods and other daily necessities. There were many people with hundreds of thousands of strings of cash, but no one dared to use all of it to buy grain. Otherwise, Xiao Bao would immediately deal with them. He would never allow anyone to hoard such a large amount of daily necessities. Li Ji and Li Ji were also shocked by this number. The two of them didn't understand how the money was spent, but they didn't doubt Shi Chun's words. This was because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't get any benefits from the royal court even if they spent 6 million strings of cash, let alone 600,000 strings of cash. There was no need to lie. No one would reimburse them. Shi Chun also knew what they were thinking. He explained, one is the cost of building the house, and the other is the cost of making the sand table and small models. There are also subsidies for the relevant personnel. We can't let people work for free. Little young master and little lady's purpose for the military examination wasn't just to become the martial champion, but more so to collect information. That's why the scale was so big. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to use the central sand table and countless small sand tables to carry out the military examination. They just needed to use the elimination system and fight in pairs. The final winner would have to play a small sand table simulation with Little Lady. However, Little Young Master and Little Lady wanted a comprehensive analysis. The most important thing was the ability of the large army to cooperate in battle. Shi Chun's words made Li Longji and the other two nod. It was indeed so. They all understood. Normally, the martial champion would definitely be Wang Wan. However, Wang Wan had deliberately increased the difficulty. Her goal wasn't for the title of martial champion, but for the overall military command of the Great Tang. Shi Chun continued, there's also the cost of the hibiscus garden. The hibiscus garden is open for a large portion of the time. It's open for free. Now, the entire hibiscus garden is under martial law and no one is allowed to enter. The commoners naturally have fewer places to go. Therefore, Little Young Master and Little Lady took out money to subsidize the zoo, skating rink, and other places. The commoners can go there to play. Those who want to hold a poetry banquet in the hibiscus garden will also pay to send them elsewhere. Li Longji and the other two understood that this was how money was spent. Li Gui couldn't figure it out. If the hibiscus garden is occupied, then so be it. What else do the commoners dare to say? They don't dare. Shi Chun replied, just because they don't dare, it doesn't mean that they don't want to. It's easy to shut people's mouths, but hard to win their hearts. Little young master said that if he wanted to occupy other people's places, not to mention the hibiscus garden, who would dare to disobey him? However, they shouldn't do that. Only those who don't have enough power and status will think of showing off in front of others. When one's status reaches a certain level, they won't use their power to oppress others. For example, Your Majesty. The entire Great Tang belongs to Your Majesty, but Your Majesty still has a standard when doing things. What you should think of is not how much sacrifice the commoners should make, but how you should consider the commoners' interests. With this, Yang Chong and Li Gui could no longer raise any other opinions. Li Longji nodded repeatedly. That's right. In the past, when I went out, part of the money was paid by the imperial court, and the other part was paid by the local government. It was a waste of money and people. Now, I prefer to go out and not use the imperial court's money or the local government's hospitality. I have money so I can buy it with money. However, I don't use my money. It's all paid by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. They will arrange it. When I went to Jili province, I found that the lower the rank, the more arrogant they are. A provincial governor's son actually bullied people there. He bullied Xiao Bei and my Jun and Pan How arrogant is he? Ah! Yang Chong and Li Gui were also stunned. Their status was not high enough, so they didn't go to Jili province. They didn't know what happened there, and only heard the emperor mention it now. Who is so daring? Bullied Xiao Bei? Xiao Bei didn't beat him? As a general, Li Gui's first thought was to use force to solve the problem. Beat what? Xiao Bei kept giving in. He even discussed building a snowman with that kid. In the end, there was no other way, so he caught that kid's father. If Xiao Bei didn't insist on handling it impartially, I would have cut off his head. Just tell me, how ambitious is this person? He actually dared to cause trouble in Jili province. He doesn't know how to use his power when he has reached a certain level. People who have reached a certain level of status are all easygoing. They think about others and show off because they feel inferior. Li Longji was still angry when he mentioned this. Li Gui and Yang Chong nodded in agreement. Your Majesty is reasonable. People always say that the county magistrate is not as good as the current one. In fact, it's because the county magistrate doesn't want to argue with ordinary people. Only the current one is worried that others don't value him and feel inferior. Therefore, he always looks for opportunities to prove his status. Therefore, the military selection has been going on for a month. The young master and young lady spent 600,000 strings of cash. The information collected from the various commanders is very precious. In the future, I will take it out and explain it in class. The young lady said that the analysis isn't about who is right or wrong. During war, everyone is scheming against each other. What we need to analyze is a pattern. When the generals go to war in the future, they will have a few comparisons under different circumstances. Then, they can choose. This way they can save time and energy. Shi Chun took over the conversation. When he talked about the young master and young lady, his face was full of admiration. Look, this is how we do it. Divide it into 3 sides. No matter which side it is, it will look like the front. After making it, we have to color it. It was already noon in Old Willow Village. The market outside was still lively. However, Xiao Bei didn't want to cross the bridge and went out for a stroll. It was not fun to be surrounded by a group of people. They hid in the village and waited for the boat. When the boat sent by the family arrived, they could take the boat along the canal and then change to the Yangtze River to Jiangzhou. There were still 2 days of free time. Originally, there were boats on the Yellow River that could directly enter Hongnong to carry people. However, due to the decision of Xiao Bei and the others, they changed. They changed to a fleet with more boats that had just been sent out from the capital. Xiao Bei and the others planned to transport a batch of dolls to Jiangzhou, as well as the local specialties of Hongnong and the specialties of the places along the Yellow River to the east. When the fleet arrived, they would buy and load the goods. When they stopped in Jiangzhou, they would sell the goods. Not only would they be able to earn back the cost of the journey, but they would also have some savings. Normally, they would be able to earn a lot more. However, there were many people in the fleet. There were more than 1,500 people, so the cost had to be included. The 9 children had already discussed it. After dealing with the matters in Jiangzhou, they would transport a batch of goods back and sell them in the capital. This way, they wouldn't need to pay extra for their family, and their pocket money would also increase. The dolls to be sold were all prepared. Now, Xiao Bei had a new request. He asked people to make the dolls according to 3 sides. Each side would be the front, and it would be a very, very big doll. It would be more than 10 feet tall and 3 meters tall. Xiao Zhu was in charge of the design, and Xiao Hai was in charge of the calculations. The people of Old Willow Village helped to make the dolls. They didn't care why Xiao Bei wanted to make such dolls, nor did they remind him that they didn't look good. Anyway, if Xiao Bei asked them to do it, they would do it. Not to mention making dolls, even if they were asked to use thin willow branches and weave patterns to make a 2-story building, they wouldn't hesitate at all. This was because everyone liked Xiao Bei and the others. When the 9 children stood together, they didn't need to mention how powerful they were or how much money they had. Just by relying on their cute looks and sensible characters, they made people have an idea that they couldn't refuse their request. Lu Feifei, who had become an official, was very busy last night. She went to worship the ancestors. Old Willow walked to the front, and she followed closely behind. She even wrote an oration, burned incense, and kowtowed. From then on, her family's branch was listed as the main branch in the clan. She was busy until the wee hours of the morning before she went to sleep. Just as she woke up and washed up, she saw the strange big doll as soon as she went out. She approached Xiao Bei and asked, "Xiao Bei, it doesn't look good. It's the front on all 3 sides. What does it look like from the side?" "There's a big horn that's facing people. It's not for people to play with. Put it at the intersection, the triangular intersection. I'll make an advertisement. Look at the map, I'll find it for you." Xiao Bei ran out and came back with a roll. He unfolded it and showed it to Lu Feifei. It was the military map of Jiangzhou. The scale of the map and the actual area was not big, but it could be seen clearly. On a road in Jiangzhou, there was a triangular intersection. Lu Feifei looked and pondered. Then she said, "Should we put a doll with 4 sides at the intersection of Hongnong? It happens to be at the amusement park and the south platform that connects to the train. We should also make a big doll. It'd be best if it could help promote Old Willow Village." "Yes, it has to be placed. It has to be woven beautifully so that people can feel how exquisite Old Willow Village's craftsmanship is." Xiao Bei had a look of, "I have such a plan." Lu Feifei looked at the map and then looked at the big doll that was still in the process of being made. She suggested, "Why don't a few people from our village go with you? When you arrive in Jiangzhou, you can find willow twigs and weave them. You don't have to occupy the space of a big doll on the way, so you can put more goods." "Sister Feifei, we don't need that little space. I just want to take the big doll there. As soon as we arrive, we'll put the doll at the intersection and tell the officials of Jiangzhou that we're here." "That's how it should be," Xiao Bei said firmly. Chapter 10:16. When the fleet arrived, Xiao Bei's dolls were finally finished by the craftsmen of Old Willow Village. They were transported along the Hongnong River to the Yellow River. Xiao Bei's team of 9 once again treated the villagers to a big meal of pure seafood. Then they bid farewell. The villagers once again sent them off with tears in their eyes, all the way to the shore of the Honglu River. The farewell team grew bigger and bigger. Xiao Bei's team put away the flags that represented their identity, but the people of Hongnong County helped them raise the rice seedlings flag. They knew who had paid for the reconstruction of Hongnong County and the compensation. The patrol team of 9 was in the limelight for a while. When the boat entered the Yellow River, there were people on the shore sending them off. Some were drivers, some were on horseback, and some were on donkeys. When Xiao Bei's boat entered the Yellow River and met up with the waiting fleet, those who could not keep up with the speed stopped and waved from afar. Xiao Yuan, tell me, why is every departure so sad? Xiao Bei wiped his tears and asked Xiao Yuan, who had been standing at the stern of the boat with him. Because the time spent together is too short and too careless, only the moment of separation will you feel that happiness is far away. It is a kind of habit and also a kind of feeling, so you have to cherish what you have by your side. Don't neglect the things around you because you are always dependent on each other. Xiao Yuan also wiped his tears. He also could not bear to leave the people of Hongnong County. Xiao Yuan, you are so nice. I know. I have to cherish Ah Hua, even if it is a cat. I will go and feed it fish. You just stand there, ah. Xiao Bei looked at Xiao Yuan gratefully and ran to the cabin. There should be a stray cat that he had picked up on the way there. Xiao Yuan looked at Xiao Bei's running figure and was stunned for a while. Ah Hua. That shriveled-up cat? That's not what I meant. Your comprehension is too poor. Is the cat more important than me? Well, there's actually another explanation for sadness. That is, when you give, you don't get anything in return, not even a little bit. Of course, when you give, you're happy. Then, Ah Hua, you give. I'll drink cat soup tonight, and I believe you're happy too. Xiao Yuan left the bow in a huff. He was ready to ask brother Xiao Hai about the formula of killing a cat, or find his sister Xiao Zhu to draw a big dog or something to scare Ah Hua into jumping into the Yellow River. At that time, he would definitely stop Xiao Bei and tell her that the moment of life was the moment of glory. Let's see who would dare to go down and save her. Xiao Bei ran to the cabin and searched for Ah Hua, but he couldn't find her. He asked a lot of people, and finally confirmed that Ah Hua didn't come on board. He muttered angrily, I won't have a cat anymore. My brother was right. Cats are not as good as dogs. Dogs know how to be loyal to their owners, but cats are different. It's just like the Japanese. No matter how good you are to them, it's useless. No wonder the Japanese can't beat the great Tang. It's like a cat can't beat a dog. They have no class and don't recognize their own status. Huh? Where did little Yuan go? Little Yuan is still the best, always protecting me. Ah. Uncle Emperor is also protecting me. He seems to have asked me why I have to pay half of the profits tax-free. I haven't answered yet. Uncle Emperor can't wait too long, right? Thinking of this, Xiao Bei shouted, Someone, send a report to the capital and find Uncle Emperor. Tell him about the tax exemption. Don't forget to tell Uncle Emperor that I'll bring him delicious food when I come back. Don't be angry. Li Longji truly was worried, not because of Xiao Bei and the others, but because of Zhang Shogui. On the sand table, Zhang Shogui's 15,000 vanguard had stopped at the crucial moment and was slowly inching toward Mount Huangshan. Their goal was to eliminate the battalion that was following behind them. But even now, they had still not discovered the enemy. At the same time, Cuckoo had gathered 60,000 soldiers and was preparing for a major battle on Mount Huangshan. Everything that needed to be arranged was more or less done. All that was left was the final detail and the speed of the enemy's main force. Li Longji was worried about Zhang Shogui. They were about to break into the inescapable net and wait to eliminate the battalion behind them. There was no battalion behind them, only a small squad of 30 people. They had already eaten up several information relay squads and fled. For the last day, Li Longji had been watching Little Dong's squad. Because they were advancing, it was impossible to gather information. The sand table had been removed, so Little Dong could only follow the map. When the messenger reported to Little Dong that the enemy had left clear carriage tracks, Little Dong knew that he could not be discovered, because it was impossible for carriage tracks to be clear. They still had to walk. As the army advanced, the supply team could not move alone. But when the messenger reported the conclusion of the referees, Little Dong knew that they were baiting him. Little Dong felt that his opponent was teasing him. Did they not know his position in the inner courtyard? He was not in charge of attacking, nor was he in charge of covering the rear. Of course, he was also not a tracking commander. He was a commander who had scanned the terrain and arranged his men. He was a suppressive commander who could fire with his eyes closed. One of his specialties was concealment and his ability to judge the situation. Even if he saw the enemy pass by his range of attack, he was not allowed to fire without orders or if the battle was not in a stalemate. Firing would only expose him. His role was to be used at the crucial moment. For example, when the enemy was about to take the high ground, he would spit out a tongue of fire from an unexpected place, causing the enemy to nurse a grievance on the spot. In their panic, they would not dare to rashly advance, giving their own troops time to reinforce their defenses. If he wanted to conceal himself, he naturally had to understand the tracks and the mentality of the people. The enemy had left too many flaws. Did they think that he was a fool? Divide into 5 people and advance as a suicide squad. Travel in a straight line for an hour. If they do not return after an hour, we will judge them to be dead. When Little Dong was faced with the situation of the tracks, he cautiously chose to send people to their deaths. When he gave the order to the messenger, his face was as cold as ice. Adhering to Wang Wan's fighting style, he gave the order with a heart of steel. The messenger replied quickly. After an hour, no one returned. Little Dong was clear about everything. The 5 people were killed without even having the time to light a fire or send a message. This meant that the enemy had sent out their elites. Little Dong glanced at the map and began to calculate. Where was the main force? Lady Cuckoo's fighting style was that she had no style and was too casual. But Little Young Master had his own style. Little Young Master was unpredictable in terms of economy. When it came to organizing logistics, he always had his own style. That was strict. He could allow his troops to receive supplies very comfortably. Where is Little Young Master's logistics? To whom did they supply? Why didn't they appear here? We were the ones who lit the fire. No logistics appeared in the north of the fire. We didn't even find a trace. In other words, the main force was not in the north. But if the main force was not there, there must be scouts flying in the sky. Now, there was not even an eagle. Little Young Master had taught him how to not give the enemy any hints and opportunities to discover. One is to retreat, one is a pocket, and the other is to hide and cross. Little Young Master Cuckoo's army can't cross and hide. There are too many people. Retreat? We have already scattered the enemy's forces. Why should we retreat? The enemy's information relay was responsible for the communication between the north and south of the fire area. It was accidentally destroyed by our battalion. Will Little Young Master let go of this opportunity? Little Dong looked at the map and analyzed. He wanted to know where the main force was and then send a message. He also knew that this was a habit he had developed over the years. Little Young Master always emphasized that information was information. Whoever had the information would have the initiative. I'll bet that Little Young Master has arranged the army at the front line of Mount Huangshan. Leave 20 people and spread out. Light the smoke for me. The smoke must be thick. The remaining 5 people protect me. Go north for 50 li and advance in an arc. Little Dong gave the order and moved forward with the other 5 people. In the end, the referees determined that the soldiers who lit the smoke were all dead. Little Dong was determined to be protected and saved energy for him. For example, he was carried on his back. When they were about to reach Mount Huangshan, the other 5 people were too tired to keep up. Then he threw everything away and ran. Because the messenger told him that there was a familiar geometric code on the trees nearby. It was not only one, but it kept appearing. This code was not something the students of the 5th period could learn. They were stuck in the 4th period. For the first time, Little Dong felt that knowledge was so important. The main force was right in front of him. The geometric code was definitely drawn by the scouts. It was the family's geometric code. Hence, Lil Dong ran with all his might until someone stopped him. Lil Dong, who was in the room, was already covered in mud. He was so engrossed in hiding that he would flip over and rub his face in the mud. Captain Zhang, You've been received by our army. Please enter the main tent, the messenger said as he patted the mud off Little Dong. Where are they? Little Dong was still thinking about his sacrificed brother. They're in another room. Little young lady, come here. Do you think it's appropriate? The messenger said. Right, I should change rooms. Sorry, I forgot. According to the rules, this is how it should be. So, the main force of our army is really here? Haha, Zhang Shogui, you're dead. Little Dong laughed heartily. The main force and Zhang Shogui's vanguard were about to meet. Little Dong had not slept for the past 2 days. He was constantly giving orders. After washing his face with cold water, he entered Wang Wan's room with a big meat bun in his mouth. Comprehend the Tao. Little Dong wanted to say, I'm here to report. Okay, you eat first. Don't choke. It won't take long. Someone, bring me a bowl of soup. There's still some marinated beef, right? Give it to Little Dong. When Zhang Xiaobao saw Little Dong, he was very happy. He was too far away to see the smoke, but when he saw Little Dong, he knew that there were still people alive in the sniper camp. Little Dong could not wait. He picked up the teacup in front of Wang Wan and gulped down the tea. He wiped his mouth and said, Little young master, little young lady, I finally see you. When I came out, the 14 commanders of the sniper camp were all there. There were still more than 500 people. We haven't given up. There are still so many people. When Wang Wan heard this, her eyes lit up. She asked, Did they all come with you? Did they all die? No, they didn't die. It's just that some of my team members died. There are still 5 people left. We're walking slowly behind. We're divided into 14 teams. Wang Yi led the team to Hangzhou Harbor. The others scattered and moved freely. I chose the north side of the Forest Fire District. We killed a lot of small groups of the enemy, about 5 to 10 people. We picked up a lot of things that they used to see very far. I found that the main force of the enemy's vanguard was approaching Mount Huangshan. They were not moving fast. I guess they were waiting for me to fall into the trap. I took a big detour and ran over here. Little Dong blinked and said that he had killed a small group of the enemy's vanguard. He also gave more than a dozen telescope models to Wang Wan. Wang Wan took the telescope solemnly and said, Send someone to pick up the 5 brothers immediately. I asked the referees to decide that the reconnaissance field of our key points has increased. The referees decide that there are 15 locations to use telescopes. You can assign and transfer them at any time. Inform us in advance. The messenger ran out and ran back, pointing to the 15 telescope models. Wang Wan said to Little Dong, You go to wash up first and then have a rest. You don't need to worry about this place for now. After you've had a good rest, wait for my next order. Yes, I'll eat as I wash up. They'll probably arrive in another 2 days. Little Dong gave a military salute, left behind these words, and ran out to rest. Wang Wan played with the telescope model as she said to Zhang Xiaobao, I'm thinking that the first to arrive is the vanguard of the enemy's vanguard. According to the news from the Fuyang Beacon Post, the enemy should be surrounded by at least a brigade. My great Tang's vanguard is normally equipped with 20,000 people. The ones coming from the north should be 15,000 at most. Eat them up. Your logistical forces will be sacrificed and engaged in a stalemate with the vanguard of the enemy's vanguard. Do your best to kill as many of the enemy's forces as possible. Yes, my logistical forces are prepared to be sacrificed to draw away the enemy's main artillery so that you can determine Zhang Shogui's disposition of firepower. For the sake of the entire people, someone has to die first. Zhang Xiaobao understood what Wang Wan meant. Throwing out a group of people for Zhang Shogui to fight would also allow Zhang Shogui to make a mistake in his judgment of the soldier's strength. Okay. Go to your command center and keep in touch. I'll give you the telescope and 3 of them. Remember, you have to stay alive. You'll be more useful alive than dead. Wang Wan took out 3 models and handed them to Zhang Xiaobao. Yes, I promise that I'll stay alive and chat with you. I won't accompany anyone else to the central sandbox to play, Zhang Xiaobao said casually. Who else can you play with? We came to see Little Dong. You fought well, but we also have to tell you something else. We already know why Xiao Bei and the others felt that it was a good deal to spend half of their profits on their children even after they were exempted from taxes. Just as Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Li Longji's voice rang out, and his figure appeared at the door. Your Majesty, the battle is about to start, yet you're still in the mood to wander around? Little Dong has gone to rest. Once he's rested, I'll have him come to see you. Did Xiao Bei send you a message? Zhang Xiaobao was waiting at the door. He had to return to the logistical headquarters to give orders, so he waited for Li Longji to move aside. Li Longji was taken aback. How did you know that Xiao Bei sent us a message? Oh. Did you think that I wouldn't be able to think of a solution if they didn't send me a message? Don't push me. It's not a big deal. Let me tell you, the idea that Xiao Bei and the others came up with is very good. I'll study it with you. I have an idea, do you understand? I estimate that it will take another 2 days, and we have 12 hours here. How can I not be anxious? Good, everything is good. Of course, it's good. Your idea is to implement it in all parts of Great Tang. One of the benefits is to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. Another benefit is to increase the demand for goods to be produced and sold, thus increasing the labor force. Another benefit is that the poor will increase their consumption or deposit their money in the banks. Increasing consumption will increase the local revenue, and I will have more money to operate the banks. At the same time, it will increase consumption. Will it be better if I lower the interest rate? There was no need for Zhang Xiaobao to think too much about it. He began to list out a bunch of ideas. Furthermore, he hadn't perfected them yet. Otherwise, there would be more benefits, and there would be more areas where he could guide the implementation process. Li Longji widened his eyes and listened to Zhang Xiaobao with his mouth slightly agape. When Zhang Xiaobao was done, he nodded repeatedly. Xiaobao, you mean Xiaobao? Did you tell Xiao Bei and the others to do this? Otherwise, why are you so clear about it? There are still many things that I haven't thought of. It's a small matter. Xiao Bei and the others don't need me to personally plan for them. Isn't it normal for me to know about it? Isn't this what you want me to do? If I don't know about it, I'll be derelict in my duties. I'm about to fail in my duties, so I have to go and command the logistics. Your Majesty, you should think about it first. We can discuss it later. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he tried to squeeze his way out. Li Longji wasn't able to block him, and he was squeezed out. Li Longji immediately chased after Zhang Xiaobao. It's not too late. Xiaobao, do you think it's time to promote this to Great Tang? What you should do the most is to grasp the discipline of the officials. Only when you grasp it well can you promote it. Otherwise, if the local officials decide that the rich people are poor, and in the process of tax exemption, how much can the rich merchants sell? Zhang Xiaobao's footsteps were quick. By the time he finished speaking, he had already entered his command center. Rearrange the sand table and map. Organize the data of my logistics team. Report to the Central Army that my logistics commander is in position. Gather the commanders of the barracks and above for a meeting. Zhang Xiaobao picked up his baton and gave the order to the orderly. Li Longji also entered and discussed. Xiaobao, let's talk about the economy. Why don't we reveal some information about the central sand table to you so that you can relax and make up for the time you wasted? My dear Your Majesty, please don't harm me. All right, I'll answer you first. When the time comes, you can return to the central sand table. Zhang Xiaobao really wanted to push Li Longji into Zhang Shogui's room and have him torture him. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao had agreed, Li Longji found a chair and sat down. All right, you can speak. I'll immediately return to the central sand table to cheer you on. Tax exemption and management fee exemption naturally have to be based on the county as the smallest unit. Have the county magistrates of each county report the data. Those whose income is lower than a certain amount, tell them to give them subsidies. Those whose income is higher than a certain amount, give them rewards. If they report to the capital, there will be a problem of falsification. They can push the middle-income people as high and low as possible so that they can obtain more subsidies and rewards. But our goal is to find people with low incomes. No matter how they falsify the data, the county magistrates will definitely classify those with low incomes as poor. Then, send people to investigate, especially those with low incomes. This way, we can avoid situations where those with low incomes are not reported and those with high incomes are reported as having low incomes. Under those circumstances, it will be much more difficult to investigate than if we use this method. The people investigating won't be familiar with the area, so their workload will be much greater. Zhang Xiaobao was quite skilled at scheming. Li Longji nodded. I understand. You're just tricking the local officials, right? When the time comes, we'll give them a piece of paper with the word fortune printed on it. Who dares to say that our rewards aren't good? Yes or no? Yes, then your majesty. You should go and cheer me on. Zhang Xiaobao drove him out. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.